Friday, a fabulous Friday for sure. Just gorgeous outside. Hope you're enjoying it. It's the 43rd day, no live sports, but we have sports to talk about. We have a draft last night, and my first thoughts were, my goodness, how technology has come along, how difficult that broadcast had to be with all of the different cameras between the commissioner in his office, the ESPN folks in the studio, the 56 or 60, however many players they sent stuff to, every war room, yachts like Jerry Jones or Cliff Kingsbury's house, which kind of reminded me of the lobby of the office building they had in Call Saul. I mean, that place looks incredible, Cliff Kingsbury's house. It just was an amazing technological experience and really very few mistakes that were made. That impressed me almost as much as the SEC success. Think about it. There are 32 first-round picks. 15 of those, almost half, came from the SEC. That is absolute verification that the SEC is the best league. If they produce the most players that go to the next level, they are the best league, and it was proven last night for sure. As far as I thought there might be a little bit more drama, especially early with more trades. Detroit kept theirs. There weren't that many trades. The one trade I thought Tampa Bay moved up. I loved that pick. I loved the fact that they got this offensive lineman from Iowa, which we had talked about, and that kid can jump out of a swimming pool. Out of a swimming pool in the shallow end. Tristan Wirfs. That's unbelievable to me. I thought they did a heck of a job last night. To me, it wasn't the most dramatic. I missed some of the interviews that you would get. I missed some of the reactions that you would get, although there were a couple that were pretty interesting, slipping on a little robe. I couldn't quite get what that was all about. And then the father that fell on the floor, that was kind of interesting. So for the most part, it kept me interested. I was actually expecting a little bit more, but awed, Brett Norsworthy, good afternoon, by the technological advances that we've made. Necessity is the mother of invention, and my goodness, it worked last night.
Works today. Sounds like I'm right there in the studio, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It does. And I think Roger Goodell and the NFL really deserve some credit for pulling that off. It wasn't too much to ask for them to do it, but they were able to pull it off. And I'm with you. It was a good night. It didn't wow me like I thought it would. I was not as engaged. It didn't ring my chimes like I thought it would, but boy, did it ring the TV ratings chimes. I'm just going to tell you, it was up from last year. Try to guess the percentage up from first night from last year.
You know, I Googled this earlier, and the only thing I got, and it couldn't be right, was that it had over 6 million viewers. But that was the same. Right. That was the same number that The Last Dance got. So I know it had to be better than that.
I've got the exact numbers.
Give it to me.
I've got the exact numbers.
Give them
4 o'clock guest Alan Bell tweeted them out. No, try to guess just the percentage increase. Because you would love a 10, 12, 15% increase, wouldn't you?
I'm going to say last year, I believe it approached 9 or 10 million, right? Isn't that what the number was from Nashville? So I'm going to guess 15 million. So it was up 50%.
15.6 million, up 37% from 2019.
Wow, I was pretty close.
37% increase last night. It's a lot of things. We're hungry for anything, and we got more than anything last night. Roger Goodell could not inspire a Cub Scout troop. He would make a hypnotist. He would make a hypnotist sleepy. He would. I guess his brain got him as far as he's gotten in his career, because it is not his avuncular personality.
No, he was trying though. I mean, the
it makes it worse when he tries.
He had the booze to begin with. That was predictable. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah. And then he kept trying to push that actually as the night went on. I thought they had some nice moves. How they did try to get people to introduce that it was their team that was going to have the pick, and they would send it to Goodell to set it up. I thought there was
looked to me like some of the players might be taking a pay cut and they're going to the pros with the houses they were in.
Whew, man,
my lands! I don't need to hear about starving college players.
No, there were
because they didn't get that much money advanced from their agent to have those kind of cribs. Wow.
Well, the one of the nice ones I thought was McCaffrey's. He, what is he now? Is he third year in the league?
Yeah, but he just signed for big money.
He did. That is a heck of a crib.
Speaking of big money, did you see the Laramie Tunsil news today?
I did.
So what was it? It was the draft of 16. So 4 years ago today, the national punchline, the national laughingstock was Laramie Tunsil and Ole Miss and Brother Hugh Freeze, national laughingstock 4 years ago today with the gas mask and all that went with that. Today, he's going to play next year for a paltry $10.2 million, and then after that, the next 3 years, $22 million per, highest paid offensive lineman in history.
Absolutely. Again, guaranteed $50 million in case anything ever happened to him. He would be guaranteed $50 million. So with the 10 that he's guaranteed for this next year, he's walking away with $60 million.
And he didn't play for free the first 4 years.
No. And the interesting thing to me, because it's really funny, I have this down on my notes and was about to bring it up, so you and I again mind meld.
Dave, I'm impressed.
It made me think that however you want to view the National Football League, the bottom line is it is a league where results mean everything.
The bottom. That's it.
We absolutely forgot.
If you can play, you get paid.
You know what? Jimmy Sexton was on with us. What was it, Wednesday? And he brought up Laramie Tunsil as one of the drafts that he'd been involved in, 36 of them, and how disastrous that was. And it didn't matter as long as the dude can play.
That's it. I said
then you will get paid.
4 years ago today, the day after that draft, and I mean the hoots and the hollers and the laughing and the catcalls at Laramie, and at Hugh Freeze and at Ole Miss, that it would be the worst night of his life if he doesn't perform. He would never forget that night. If he performs, and I don't know if I said 4 years, I said, but in 6 or 7 or 8 years, whoever engineered that and got that, when they got a good shot in on him that night, and it dropped him in the draft and it humiliated him. But if he performs, he'll be able to tell them, up yours, how much you get out of the video. Because I'm going to set on about $100 million.
Well, he clearly is proof that it doesn't matter how you start. If you perform in this league, no matter what your image is like, everything can be changed as long as you work your butt off, stay clean after that, and do your job.
Ryan Tannehill
and he
is beneficiary of that this year.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago right now, if you would have told somebody Ryan Tannehill would have had that year he had, and he would be making what he's making, you would have your head examined.
So there are a bunch of stories today. So Laramie Tunsil, obviously, is the story about becoming rich or richer. We know a guy today who decided he's going to become rich, too, and I'm happy for him. Precious Achiuwa. That might be the top story of the day. He declared for the NBA draft, says it was a great experience at the University of Memphis. He will secure an agent. It's time for his next move. So Precious, even though I have no idea if he was really thinking about coming back or what he was, if it was just all about Jalen Green a couple of weeks ago, but he kept making these tweets. I have no idea what he was thinking, but he did the right thing for himself. I'm not sure.
He sure did.
He, you get that year back, and he's going to get a guaranteed contract for a couple of years because he'll get taken in the first round. And I think he's ready for the NBA defensively. He's still got work to do on the offensive side.
Ready. He can get a little bigger and a little more, grow up a little more. Yeah, just mature a little more.
And then just a little bit ago, a guy decided not to become rich yet. and that is Greg Brown. So Green and
That's
Brown
okay, too.
have now answered what they were going to do. Green, we know, went with the elite team. Greg Brown had that invitation. He has decided to forego the money that he would have gotten from the G League elite team, and he's going to sign with Texas, and that has to be, in the short span that Shaka Smart has been in Austin, that has to be the most significant thing that's occurred in the Smart era for Shaka.
Yeah, he needed it, and he had the big player a few years ago that was only there a year. But this is a little bit different for him, Mo Bamba, or as Bill Walton one night called him, Bo Mamba. But Bill Walton, he has that artistic license. And it would be a good contrast, a good case study to parallel Jalen Green going forward. I hope it works out well for him. I'm not wishing him any ill. I am not.
I'm glad you.
But it'll be fun to watch Greg Brown going forward too, because I know how college basketball can brand you. Now, that entire Zion brand was not just because of that 1 year at Duke, but it darn sure didn't hurt.
Oh, well, he didn't play enough in New Orleans to build up a huge brand. That whole thing began because of Duke.
He may have been a big enough force that he would have been branded at or near that big, even if he hadn't gone to Duke, or if he'd have gone to South Carolina, or if he'd have gone to UNC Wilmington. He might have been good enough to carve that. But Duke sure didn't hurt him. And I think for Greg Brown at the end of next year, if it's a normal year, if we ever have normality again, if it's a normal year with even the 1 year, the very limited, no more than a visitor, or just a little more than a visitor, but his campus interaction at a great school like Texas, if he makes one or two great lifelong friends from that experience, and I'm talking away from basketball, it'll be worth something. Then the travel, then the exposure, the TV games, and into the NCAA tournament, and see how far they go there. You know, Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant only won one NCAA tournament while at Texas, so it wasn't a whole lot of NCAA tournament even for him. He's made it quite fine.
You won one game, one tournament game.
He won one tournament game, right? And he's made it quite fine. But we'll see. And again, I hope next year somebody will do that side-by-side story. Tonight, Greg Brown playing at – I'm not even going to the extreme example. I'm not going to say playing at Fog Allen. Tonight, Greg Brown playing Tuesday night game in Lubbock against a good Texas Tech and Chris Beard team. Meanwhile, Jalen Green playing in Sioux Falls.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because that is actually – I've got this parallel as a high-hard one that we'll have later in the show. So
Dave, man, your brain's knocking me over today,
Hold
Dave.
your thoughts on all of that. We do have a busy show. Brian Fenley.
Your brain's coming at me too big, Dave. He's kind of blocking out the sun. Slow down there, baby.
Well, I want that sun to stay out. According to the President of the United States, it's going to fight coronavirus.
Well, and I'm going to do shots of Clorox.
God, can you believe that one? Whew.
Okay.
Anyway, Brian Fenley is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. That is the young man that used to be at Fox Sports or Fox TV here, Channel 13.
No, he was at ABC here. He's with Fox Sports Radio now.
Okay. I knew he was in the market. I wasn't exactly sure which station. And then Alan Bell from CBS will join us at 4. We'll talk a lot about the draft. At 4:30, Pat Smith from Jocks, more about the draft. Andy Schiffman will join us at 5, our agent here. High Hard Ones coming your way at 5:30, and then crunch time to get us into the weekend. And I can tell you this much: I am really looking
good
forward
big Q today
to
too.
golf. You do?
Time the big Q wherever you want to, but it's a good one.
Okay.
It concerns Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
And I got a good night for him.
That was. I mean, there was no drama to it, but I'm really glad for the guy. And again, he's a guy that has a little bit of social conscience about him. I like that already, because he could have put a shirt on that was all about Cincinnati, or because he knew he was going to Cincinnati. There was never any question about that. It was again about sort of the area that he grew up in. He made that just incredible speech during the Heisman about that impoverished area And I can't remember the area code that it is, but was it 607 or whatever it was that was on his shirt?
I'm not sure.
But that was his point last night on a night where it really could have been more about him. It was really, again, about the cause that he has. And I appreciate that about him. And I think he's gonna be a real deal.
I do too. And when you think Ohio, you think football factory just everywhere. It's a little bit like the Memphis reputation, the Memphis stereotype. You say high school basketball, you just think everybody here is good and been good forever. Well, not always the case. A lot have. But his high school, he won their first ever state playoff game when he was there. It had really never been anything in any sport. It had not been a basketball school. It had not been a baseball school. It hadn't been a football school. It sure hadn't been a football factory. And he did it, and he was kind of the wonderkin, the hometown young man that really, really did well. It didn't work out. Thank you, Drew. 740 area code.
740, perfect, yeah.
Didn't work out for him at the Ohio State, but it did work out for him at the Louisiana State. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity Spring Sales Event. This is the last Friday of April. Next Friday will be May 1. Great offers on all 2020 models and always on special lease options. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? You will. And Lexus of Memphis will make sure you're in one of their beautiful cars by the end of today, by tomorrow afternoon for sure. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, that there are so many top stories today. Precious declaring for the NBA draft, and you just mentioned, and ESPN has now put out the story on their television network along with ABC and the NFL Network. That grouping, 15.6 mil, as you said, that becomes now the most watched NFL telecast of a draft ever in their history.
In a guy's basement.
37% increase. Yeah, in the
where
commission.
Was Jerry Jones? Was he in Air Force One?
No, he was on his yacht.
Oh, of course.
That was his yacht.
Where was it moored?
By the way, I think I saw that yacht is a $25 million yacht. That is what I believe I saw the price tag on that.
Jerry Wayne
life,
big,
if you watch ESPN, you're going to see $1,800 bottles of tequila, and you're going to see $25 million yachts.
On the night I was doing shots of Clorox.
I'm glad you didn't at least inject it. That's all I could say.
It's actually $250 million.
Oh, $250, not $25.
$250 million yacht.
So a $250 million yacht. Oh, I really got. I underpriced that sucker.
I mean, you don't pull that up to Trinity.
Oh, you don't think that's on the lake, that White Creek Lake in Dallas?
I don't think so.
Just kidding.
Where
is it docked? Yeah, Drew.
What port of call?
Give me 1 second.
Drew's checking it out. We'll do that at the back end here. In the meantime, let me give you the Shelby County news on the coronavirus, as we always do in this time slot. We have 50 new cases, now 1,981 total. There were 2 new deaths. We're up to 43, but still hovering around the 50 is better than some weeks we were in the 100 range on a regular basis. Congress did pass that Paycheck Protection Program. There's $310 billion for small business loans that are forgivable loans if you follow the guidelines. There are plenty who had actually been approved for the loan but didn't get the money because they ran out. Now they will get their money. Mayor Lee Harris of Shelby County extended what is called the county emergency measures, sort of the same as the stay-at-home or safer at home that Mayor Strickland has for the city. But the county now extends through April 30th, and Mayor Harris did voice worries about Memphis hospitals getting overcrowded because of the hospital closures that have come in the last few years in rural towns. In the state of Tennessee, 7,394 cases, 157 deaths, and news from Governor Lee. that $870 million was lost last month from hospitality tax revenue. That is significant. In the state of Mississippi, we're almost to 4,900 cases, 193 deaths, and in Arkansas, 2,276, 42 fatalities. Around the world now, the dashboard is telling us 2,262,000 cases, 183,770 have perished, 740,000 have recovered in the U.S., 851,000 cases, and 48,702 have become
30,000 United States fatalities in the last 2 weeks. 30,000. Again, Dave, to people, and we had a lot of people express this early on. No big deal, making something out of nothing. I don't know what your fatality rate was for it to become alarming, but 51,000's got to start entering the ballpark. If it doesn't, that's your business.
When you tell me out of the 48,702 that have passed, that 30,000 have come in the last 2 weeks,
it would tell 51,000's passed.
It would 51,000 now. It's gone up since.
Yeah.
Okay, 51,000 and 30,000 of those have passed in the last 2 weeks. That's 60% in the last 2 weeks. That would tell me we're jumping the gun on opening up everything like the state of Georgia.
Which scares me, Dave. I mean, how do we jump to a September 25th, October 10th, even college football season start with fans when we can't get nail shops open in Atlanta today without rancor? When we can't get barber shops and hair salons open today in Atlanta without a lot of rancor? How are we going to jump 4 months ahead, 5 months ahead, and have 60,000 people tailgating at a college football game?
I don't know how you do it, but you take it one day at a time. I'll be very curious to see, as I can tell you from what I've read about Atlanta, I wouldn't be going to a restaurant in Atlanta today. I wouldn't personally, and I'm going to wonder to see exactly how many people will come. You can open up something, doesn't mean the people will come.
What's that great steakhouse in Atlanta? Rathbun's,
I think.
I don't know. If I could go there tonight, I don't know. I probably would. Probably better be. Sorry. My top story, SEC. They had a big night last night for sure. No surprise. And they will this time next year at the NFL draft, whenever that is. But here's somebody else that had a big night last night. Urban Meyer. The first 3 picks, he signed all 3 of them to go to Ohio State. Again, for college football, coaching college football, not playing, not just being a swashbuckler, not USFL, but college football. Give me Urban Meyer over Steve Spurrier. He won 3 national championships, 2 at Florida, 1 at Ohio State, and I think he's got a 4th one in him somewhere before it's complete.
I hear you. You can make a compelling argument.
And
for me, if you're giving me a choice of which coach I would want my son to play for, it's not close.
I didn't ask that question. That was not the question I asked. Just the better of the 2 for college football at Florida.
I don't know. I mean, who was better for the SEC, Steve Spurrier or Urban Meyer?
Urban Meyer won more.
But Steve
He
Spurrier
won 2 national championships.
Steve Spurrier changed the league. He gave them a lot of exposure because the league became a lot more interesting to watch.
It was pretty interesting before he got there.
It was, but to me it was more entertaining once he got there. And he did win. He did win a national title.
He has a je ne sais quoi. He has a flair about him, unquestionably. But the coaching prowess in the sport, give me Urban.
By the way, the Jerry Jones yacht docked at Watson Island in Biscayne Bay in Miami.
You know who used to hang there? Nixon's buddy, B.B. Rebozo.
Yeah.
That's where his place was.
So did Ricky Ricardo and Lucy Arnaz. They used to hang out there too. That's highfalutin. $250 million yacht.
Not top story, Drew.
Not top story of the day.
Well, that's the sad news. The brother of Dak Prescott, only 31
Very sad.
years old. Jace Prescott.
Dak's had some loss.
Passed away, cause unknown. He was a pretty good athlete in his own right, an offensive lineman at Northwestern State.
Oh, I didn't
from
know that.
2008 to 2010. And if you think about this, they did a commercial several years ago. Dak's mom, his brother, and he were in it. It was like a Campbell's Chunky Soup commercial, I think is what it was. I know it was a family kind of a commercial. And now Dak has lost both his brother and his mother passed away in 2013. I feel
that's
for
why
him.
he was at
I
State.
Really do.
He lost his mother while he was at State because really kind of the first game back was that Egg Bowl Thanksgiving night 2013. You remember Bo got stripped in overtime going in, but Dak came in and really saved it for the Bullies that night. My not top story, good luck to Jordan Love in Green Bay, 26th pick. That's the Paxton Lynch spot. And good luck to him for having to back up Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers knows that feeling. He had to sit and watch Brett Favre for a long time, and he's not close to done. But surprising that Aaron Rodgers has only won one Super Bowl. That's a lot, but he's only won one. And, Dave, remember when we were all on a Friday football forecast, we thought our lock of the weekend was Utah State and all those points against LSU and Jordan Love.
Right.
And they got beat 42-6, and
Yep.
he went 15 out of 30 and had 3 interceptions.
Well, there are a lot of flaws, according to the experts who've watched every game that he's ever played. So we shall see. What was interesting to me, or most interesting, is that Aaron Rodgers' age is the exact same age as Brett Favre's was when the Packers drafted Rodgers. So will Aaron Rodgers have a better attitude about this young man
No.
than Favre had for him?
Favre was unbelievably nasty to him. And it's not your job to groom the guy that's going to take your job. It's not.
We shall see how he is, but he didn't appreciate it. Let's
Did
see,
you see
let's see if he learns from that.
Did you see the old draft? And I can't remember what ESPN commentator said it, but when the announcement of Brett Favre being drafted by the Falcons, and they go to somebody for the analysis, it wasn't Mel, and called him Brett Favre. Didn't even know how to pronounce his name.
Right. When you came from a little town in Southern Miss, come on.
Keelan, Mississippi.
Yep, there you go. Not many people are going to know that you would call that Favre.
You remember a shootout between Brett Favre and Rusty Trail between the Tigers and Southern Miss.
I do, and you know what I said about Brett Favre then? I said, man, that dude, he looks like an NFL quarterback.
Rusty went for over 300 that day too, though. It was a real shootout at a time you didn't have eye-popping shootouts like that.
No, but he looked like Terry Bradshaw is what I think I said at the time.
Great analysis, Dave.
He looked terrific. He really did, and then he turned out to be a Hall of Famer. We, again, have a busy show. Brian Fenley from Fox LA will join us here in a minute to talk a little bit about the NFL Draft. We are just underway here at the Flynn Broadcasting Center on this Friday. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Don't miss it.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches, 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
For the ones standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, plus free access to specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
At Ace, we always have been and always will be committed to our local communities because we're here to help others. So in this time of need, your local Ace remains open. And since we're in your neighborhood, we can deliver almost anything you need. So shop in store or online for the home or yard products you're looking for and choose from top brands like Steel, Ego, Toro, and Scotts. Then you can pick up in-store, curbside, or we'll deliver your order right to your door. Help is just around the block. See acehardware.com for details.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stacks. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
What a busy day already this has been. Precious Achiuwa. He's heading for the NBA draft. It's the right thing for him, no question about it. Little surprising maybe. Greg Brown, the sought-after five-star big man from the state of Texas, decided not to go to the G League Elite. He will be going to the University of Texas next year. So a couple of news items along the way here pertaining to college basketball players and their professional or non-professional status. Obviously, the NFL draft, huge, biggest draft telecast in history, 15.5 million people who watched it all yesterday, last night, all unfolding. It begins round 2 tonight at 6 o'clock Central Time. And last night, the SEC, maybe the biggest winner besides the players that were picked, because 15 of the 32 first-rounders all from that league. This portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, famous for the 16-point Super Saver tune-up. This is where they come to your house for $69. You do it in this week and maybe even next. They call it the early bird special, where it's only $57. Mention you heard it here, $57. They walk in your door, they put their little slippers on, they go to your utility closet, they tune away. There's 16 points they make sure are all in harmony, all working so that you're efficient and you save money on your MLGW bill. They replace your filters. Then they will march outside. They'll take off their little slippers, and they'll head to your outside unit. And that's where they really start the cleaning. Some of them will say it's like taking that outside unit to a car wash. That's how well they clean this thing. They get the dirt, the grime, the leaves all out of that outdoor unit, and then they're going to put a little Teflon coating on the blades of the fan out there to protect it from the hot summer sun. Now you're really in business. They do all of that for $69. All you've got to do is make the call. 384-3511, 384-3511. That's Conway Services. Heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and famous for the tune-up.
Our buddy Brian Finley, who used to be here in Memphis at the ABC affiliate, we miss him so much, but now we hear him on Fox Radio quite often. You can follow him on Twitter at Brian Finley. He's at Fox Sports. He joins us now. And, Brian, it's as lonely on Rodeo Drive as it is down Poplar right now. The whole world's shut down.
The whole world is shutting down, and who would have thought, guys, that driving from L.A. to San Diego would be under 2 hours? It's unbelievable. If you want to go for a drive and you don't want to sit in traffic, this is the time to do it. There's so much to see and so little traffic to get in your way.
So what is your normal drive time?
So my family came up to visit, and obviously we're keeping the 6 feet, that whole order in place, but they usually it would take about 3 hours at this time of day to get from like San Diego or where my mom is from to get to Los Angeles where I'm at. And it would take them like an hour and a half. I mean, there's literally a ghost town on these freeways that are parking lots right now. And Friday afternoon in Los Angeles, it's a ghost town and there's no smog. So I guess if there's one positive to it, it's that you can actually see the downtown from far away. But beyond that, it is just replete of any civilization right now.
That is so eerie. So you could actually go up the 101 from L.A. to San Francisco, which you used to be able to do many, many, many years ago, but now it takes you literally forever to do it. You could actually drive that thing and get there?
Yeah, so it's interesting because my mom, they said, you know what, we're going to take the 101 from San Diego to L.A. without the traffic, and we're going to just sightsee, see the beach, because people aren't really allowed to go on the beach in parts of Southern California. But we're going to take this opportunity to see the beach, see that area without traffic, and just kind of go for a cruise. Because once everything gets back, you're not going to have that opportunity. And then to be able to do it in such a short amount of time, it's almost like you're watching an apocalyptic movie, right? When the whole world comes to an end and you've got like 5 people on Earth, but they can go wherever they want in such quick speed.
Brian, I don't think Hollywood could have written this one.
No. There's a movie that came out, I think, a couple years ago called Contagion, and I know Netflix has some show about the outbreak, but we are living in a movie, guys, and I just want this movie to end as soon as possible.
You and me
happily,
both.
Happily.
You and me both, Brian. For those of you who watched you on ABC here, how did you get to L.A. and Fox? Tell us your story.
Yeah, so, my mom was getting married in L.A. or San Diego. I wanted to move back because I wanted to be with her, and honestly, I didn't have anything lined up when I first got back to Southern California, which is where I'm from. And then about a couple months later, I got the opportunity to host UCLA's like coaches show on the radio. And I know, Dave, you do a lot of that with Memphis and such. So and I think once or twice I had the esteemed pleasure of filling in for you. But doing that at UCLA was the first thing going on for me in LA. And then I actually saw you when UCLA flew and took on Memphis in football a couple of years. I remember seeing you in the press box.
Right.
And so I was doing like a little bit of pre and post for them, and then spotting during the game for our play-by-play guy in Josh Lewin. And I still can't believe how we lost that game, but I know you're very happy about that.
That was a big game for us.
That was huge, man. That was huge.
Well, we actually made the Chosen Rosen look rather ordinary in that game.
Man, and the question is, Dave and Brett, is Rosen ever going to get a chance? I just don't think he's gotten a fair share, even with him at the Dolphins and the Cardinals, and now with Tua going to Miami. I kind of feel bad for the guy, because I feel like if he had a well-acclimated spot, he would thrive.
But you got to the West Coast, and now we hear you on Fox Sports Radio, Brian, and we know you and your family, and a real mentor to you was the late, great Dick Enberg.
He was a wonderful guy, and I'm sure so many people were able to run into him in his life path. And what I loved about him, guys, was how humble he was. He got to do everything. He was a wonderful storyteller, and he was at my mom got remarried a couple of years ago, and he was at the wedding, and it was really fun to see him. And this was only about, maybe 6 months before he passed away. And just to see just the warmth that he radiated and the humble nature, a guy like that doing everything from the Olympics to every big-time sporting event in whatever sport. And for him just to be one that makes you feel like he's your best friend, and you just met him. Not everybody has that opportunity to be like that when they have seen so much and done so much, to still be so self-centered and be so humble and wanting to meet anybody and treat everybody the same. I think those are some of the key tenets I remember from Dick.
That it's interesting you say that, because I used to do games for various networks, and I hooked up with a few of them with a guy that used to really be the producer for a lot of Dick Enberg's stuff on the West Coast, and he would say the same thing about Dick being just a very open, caring kind of a guy without any kind of an ego, and he really was one of the greats. I mean, we had some great announcers back in those days, but he was certainly at the very top of that list. And he actually got his start sort of with UCLA. He started doing UCLA games in the Wooden era, so you've got that in common with him.
And the TVS
Yeah,
games.
They have. Absolutely, guys. They named the media center at Pauley in his honor, and they honored him. I think this was 2017 when Lonzo Ball was with UCLA and Oregon came to town. It was a great game. Lonzo Ball ended up hitting this crazy shot from way deep. I think it was like a 30-footer that put UCLA past Oregon. And during halftime, they commemorated Dick Enberg. He came out there, and he was on the broadcast with the guys that were doing the television side of things. And look, I mean, his paw prints are all over the place, and he would always tell me, guys, that you hate to quantify and say what was his favorite gig, but gathering from what I could from him, it seemed like the UCLA gig, even though it was earlier in his career, and he did so many other things, but being at UCLA during the John Wooden years and having all that winning, he said that was more or less the best gig and the most fun he's had as a broadcaster.
We used to do this game show. Did you know that as he was doing those UCLA games? Oh, yeah. He used to do this game show where they had clips. I can't remember the total premise of it, but they had clips that he would do the changed voiceover of the clips, and I can't remember exactly how you had to guess something out of it, but it was really a good show, and he was doing that about the time he was doing those UCLA games, and that's really how he became known. I think the guy worked. I know he worked for CBS and NBC. There might have been a time he worked for ABC too. He might have worked for all three networks.
Yeah.
And he did the Padres. He did the Angels. He was the voice of the Angels, Dave, and left it because he was going to have a prominent role for the NBC Moscow 1980 Summer Olympics, and that's when the kind of the third guy in the Cardinal booth, Bob Starr, left the Cardinals to go out to the left coast to be the voice of the Angels. In Los Angeles right now, Brian, moving into the state-of-the-art Stan Kroenke Stadium next year for Rams and Chargers. Rams have a quarterback. The Chargers think they got one last night in Justin Herbert, did they?
Guys, this is going to be fascinating because I'm not totally sold on Herbert. Maybe you guys feel the same way here because the stats are wonderful, but there was always that feeling that he didn't exactly show up in the big games. There really was no excuse for Oregon last year not to be in the college football playoff, and they totally ruined their chances. And you can't put all the blame on Herbert. I mean, you look at his size; he's 6'6". He can make every throw. I think sometimes his decision making is not good when he's under duress. But the Chargers had to go with somebody, and because Tua was already picked, and he has his own injury issues, as you guys have noted before on your show, but it was almost like you had to. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be the best fit, but it fits the best need, right? And I just don't know who else you could have gotten. I think getting Jordan Love would have been a reach, but I just don't think Herbert – you would think that he'd be a guy that would wait it out a year or two under Tyrod Taylor. I guess they're going to go with him at this point unless they go for somebody else in free agency. Whatever happens to Cam Newton. Anyway, but Herbert's going to be a project. And I love his durability, but he still has a lot of question marks for me.
Well, I could always go after Josh Rosen. We could go back and play that card. Bring him home.
Yes.
Bring him home. How is that stadium going to be? Is it going to be open on time?
So what I've heard, guys, is yes, they had I'm sure you guys saw this too. This was in the news. They had a couple of the workers, or at least one of them, had tested positive for COVID-19, but I do believe I have a buddy who kind of oversees what's going on over there, or he kind of is in the know. He says that they're continuing to power through, and I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're staying 6 feet away from each other because that must be hard at times when you're working in construction and trying to piece everything together. But I have heard nothing that says that there's going to be a delay to it, and that even though somebody got COVID-19, it's an essential business. Work is going on, and it will be going on time. Now, I think they have a couple concerts that are going to be taking place there before the NFL season. I don't know if that's going to happen, but as far as being ready for the NFL season, it sounds like all systems are go for that.
It's interesting to me. They're
Brian,
share.
this weekend would have been Grizzlies and Lakers potentially 8 versus 1, and it would have been the games in Memphis this weekend.
Gosh, I mean, I can't imagine, guys, how much I mean, for you, the Grizzlies are so much. They mean so much to that city, and having a little piece of being able to see how it touches the lives of that community, and for it just to be sucked away like that, I feel for that city, and I feel for those players, guys. And I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to have something here in the next couple of weeks or months? Do you think we'll have right into playoffs?
I don't.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I will
don't.
tell you I don't know, and I'll be very interested in hearing in approximately 1 week from now what the commissioner of the NBA will come up with. I think he's the brightest of all the commissioners, and he'll weigh the data and he'll figure out the circumstances and really what the possibilities are, and then they'll do it. There's so much at stake. They got to play somewhere, between 5 and 7 games per team in order to get their local revenue television money. That is critical to a lot of those teams. And then you're going to start the postseason. And will you back it up to where you would change the way the season starts in the future? There's a lot of things on the table that we really don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, what is comforting, I guess, is it sounds like we might have some sort of golf fundraising event. I'm sure you guys saw this with Tiger Woods and that made-for-TV event in May. It sounds like golf might be going on in June. We might have that, and I'm assuming those are easier sports to try to sift through as far as avoiding contact with other people. And what about in Memphis? The golf tournament coming up there? What have you heard there? Because I'm fascinated to hear how that's going.
Well, that has been moved. It has gone from the July 4th weekend to the last weekend of July into August, and it is scheduled to be the second event that they would have crowds, because the first 3 or 4 will not have gallery. So I don't know, because I think that is still up in the air. At this point, it would be illegal to have galleries, because there is a restriction on the amount of people that can have mass gatherings. It's down to 10. So there's no way you could have anything there. I suppose that you would make an exception for the television crews and the athletes themselves to be gathered around. But other than that, I don't know. There's still an awful lot to try to figure out. No question. And apparently they haven't figured out in L.A. You got a tougher governor than, let's say, Florida or Georgia or even Tennessee, which is coming back April 30th in some of the smaller rural areas. All the major ones are going to continue to extend their safer at home. But you guys are tough, and that makes for some interesting aspects as to whether or not, let's say, the Pac-12, you could have some legal jurisdictions which would allow people and some that would not. What do you do?
Yeah, because every governor is different, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has a different viewpoint. And then I'm sure you guys saw this. The mayor of Los Angeles, Garcetti, he was even stronger. I think it was about a week ago he came out and said, look, we're not going to have any sports here through 2020 in our city of Los Angeles. No mass gatherings. Now, he did say in preface and say, hey, if public health officials tell me that it's okay, I will abide by that and will allow sports to happen in 2020. But the way it was taken from the media was he's ruling everything out the rest of this year. And that's scary to think about. Now, that doesn't mean we won't have sports. We just won't have fans. But, I mean, some guys, like you said, are stricter as far as people in power. The mayor, nothing in 2020. I mean, come on now. But, yeah, like you said, it's diverse. Every different state and county has a different viewpoint. But luckily, guys, the numbers as far as the infection rate, knock on wood, it has not been as bad as other places as far as a ratio and a percentage in California.
You stay healthy
he's done
there,
a good
my
job
friend.
on that.
Yeah, Brian, you stay healthy. We appreciate it so much. We'll keep in touch with you. Keep up the good work. And again, as we say, we'll have, once things get going, we'll have to get you back.
I would love that, guys. Look up to your show a lot and always appreciated your guys' friendship, getting to know you in Memphis. And we'll talk soon. You two stay healthy and hope your families are doing okay. And we'll talk soon.
You got it.
Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Brian Finley with Fox Sports Radio. We hear him on these airwaves quite often. Hey, everybody, I've got a lot of good news. We need good news, don't we? Our friends at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, they've heard from so many of you who really want to buy a new Chevy or need service or parts, and you need it right now, and they are listening. All-Star Chevy, they have financing as low as 0 interest for as much as 84 months. That's 7 years, 0 interest, and you can be payment-free for up to 4 months. But your safety is number one. Everyone at All-Star Chevy is doing everything to provide service, parts, anything you need in the safest possible way. They can pick up and deliver your vehicle for service and even deliver the parts you want to you. But everything is sanitized and very safe for you to visit anytime. Call for an appointment or find what you want online, and someone at All-Star will arrange a virtual test drive or a safer test behind the wheel. A Silverado, a Traverse, all-new Blazer, maybe a new Suburban or Equinox. Remember, it's not the Pike, it's not South Haven, it's not Mount Moriah or Collierville. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com today. Call ahead for an appointment, but visit All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch.
Back in a minute to put a wrap on hour number 1 on this Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health, especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station because we're in this fight with you and we're going to help you stay connected.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Chris and True, our first hour on this glorious Friday. Everybody's been going crazy, and I can't wait for parts 3 and 4 of The Last Dance. That'll be on ESPN, 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock on Sunday. Watching Michael Jordan and all that. But today we learned that Kobe Bryant also documented his final year, 2015 and 16. Same sort of thing. He had NBA Entertainment and ESPN crews all in, total access. And
he had veto power?
I don't know how that deal worked. But I do know that, you know, they hadn't planned on showing this, putting this whole thing together for a long time. But now because of his passing, and really the success of The Last Dance, I believe they'll probably
roll it out,
start putting it together.
Yeah, I mentioned to Brian, last night or tonight probably would have been Game 3 if it had been Grizzlies And Lakers, I don't know if the Grizzlies have been down 0-2. I know the win of the year was the upset over the Lakers on February 29th. That was a fun night. Handled them quite easily, Dave. They really did all night from stem to stern. They really did handle the the Lakers that night. But somewhere last night or tonight would have been Game 3, and somewhere Saturday or Sunday, maybe even into Monday, would have been Game 4, and that would have been a lot of fun. And it's a shame for the Grizzlies, because it would have been a great opportunity for the Grizzlies to re-engage with some people that they may have lost through the years and missing the playoffs and the towel waving and the pomp and circumstance. And, Grizz would have been – he would have put on his great show as he always does, and the Grizzlies missed out on that. And I am on the – I'm sorry, I hope I'm proven horribly wrong. But, again, if it's this much trouble to get a nail shop open in Atlanta, how do we jump back to having sports, even in a biosphere sequestered spot?
Well, I'm imagining at this point that if they do indeed restart, I don't know how they're going to get those non-playoff games in, but I do think it's feasible. They could have the playoffs. The Grizzlies would make it. They would have this series. I don't know that this first-round series would be best of 7. It would probably be best of 5. And I don't know if they're going to do it in one spot in Las Vegas where you could really control it and get your television money. I think so much of this is going to come down to economics. And that's why with the college football aspect of it all, as we had a fellow on yesterday, and I'm trying to remember who it was, who was basically saying you could see where they would say, hey, look, we're playing. If you guys can't, your government, your state government won't allow you to have it. Yeah, Tim Brando. That's right. We're playing anyway, and because we need the income. Sorry that you can't be a part of it, but we have to have it.
The rest of college football can't wait for a veto power from the Pac-12. It can't be we all play or nobody plays if a decided portion of college football. Now, that is one thing that I know, and Dave, we saw it on that Wednesday and Thursday around the basketball tournaments. Every conference commissioner was waiting on the other one. Nobody wanted to be that first guy or female, the head of a conference. Nobody wanted to be the first to pull the plug. And we kind of lumbered through all day Wednesday playing, looking over our shoulder going, is this the right thing really to be doing? And then Wednesday night, Rudy Gobert hit, and we thought, why are we still playing? And then we thought we were going to play Thursday, and the Big East tried until halftime. But, an hour out from the SEC games in Nashville, well, I think teams even hit the court for warm-ups at a lot of places.
Oh, they did. Look, let's be honest. The Big East didn't want to stop playing. They were getting so much pressure on a national basis from bad media that they couldn't afford not to stop the game. I mean, if they really cared, they would never have let that game that got to halftime. They never would have let it start. And frankly, the SEC was a little smarter. Tennessee was supposed to play in that game, right? That first game that morning. And they were there. They were in their locker room getting ready to come out. And I think that's right, I watched them walk out of the locker room all going, hey, we're not playing? What? Really?
And Craig Way told us, about Texas being on the court. And,
that's right.
And the same thing when people were saying, this isn't going to happen while he was on live. So everybody was looking around, and everybody in college football is looking around. But this is where the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 and the Big 10, they got to lead, and everybody else can follow. And you got to do it science and medically driven first and foremost, in concert with your academic people and actually having school. But once they decide, if they do decide we're having football, you can't wait for the Pac-12 to say, yeah, we're going to play too. If they don't want to play, they don't play then.
1 hour in the books. When we come back, Alan Bell from CBS. He'll join us. We'll talk some NFL draft with him. Talk the spectacular numbers. $15.5 million. Wow. That's incredible. That's next on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Eat well and stay healthy with Sweetgrass Next Door's to-go and delivery service. From shrimp and grits to pork chops to chocolate chip cookies and more, feed your need. Located in the heart of Cooper Young Midtown, Sweetgrass Next Door makes for an easy to-go, pickup, and delivers to all of Midtown, most of downtown, and even East Memphis locations. For more information, visit online sweetgrassmemphis.com or call 901-278-0278 to place your order today.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, Five Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in hour number 2 on this gorgeous Friday. I hope you all get to play a little bit of golf maybe this weekend. You know, the public courses opening back up, 5 of the 8 public courses. Many of the country clubs have already been open. All the courses in Mississippi, or most of them that we know, our good friend John Goen. They are open. I talked to Greg Hines from Windyke the other day. He is open, so you'll have an opportunity with social distancing, one person per cart. City course, you have to walk. Keep that in mind. You have to walk. But at least we're back out, and that when you walk, that's a little bit of exercise and fresh air.
Go play somewhere.
That's right. And that will be really good. It's been a busy day, obviously, already. We have seen this is the most watched NFL draft telecast in the history of the National Football League. 15.6 million. Crazy, crazy stuff. And Precious Achiuwa, and he should have. We're going to miss him. I know he toyed with our emotions a little bit, but Precious Achiuwa has declared for the NBA draft. I only wish that young man the very, very best. Alan Bell from CBS will join us in a minute. We'll talk about these great numbers and all of the technological advances that we make. Man, necessity is the mother of invention in the NFL, and all of the Zoomers and webinars folks and whatever the heck it was they all used with all those different cameras yesterday. That was pretty darn impressive last night. And round 2 is coming up. We'll talk about that with Alan Bell. I'll let you know our title sponsor for this hour of the program is Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and Genesis of Olive Branch. And they are always ahead of the game. They're the first one to offer 0% financing on select models. That's Genesis or on Hyundais. And they've just written all this new stuff about the technology they have in these cars. So good, they last forever. A 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And this is what I think is the standard of car dealerships. This is the one that came up with the 0% for 84 months, 7 years. You don't pay any interest. And then on top of that, you've got the 3 months, 120 days before you have to make your first payment. Go see what I'm talking about. Get on Lamar. First exit in Mississippi, it's Highway 78. When you get to State Line Road, you turn left at Craft Road. Go see Chris True and all the gang. You'll love what you see. Ask about a test drive of my Genesis, the G70. Telling you, you're going to fall in love when you go to Genesis of Olive Branch and Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Dave, we love having Alan Bell with us on Twitter at Alan Bell, ALLANBELL 247, Alan Bell 24/7. He's with CBS Sportsline. We love talking NFL and a little bit of handicapping and wagering with him. And we got both of those last night. Alan, there was a lot of action on where people would go last night, and you just tweeted out, and we've referenced you a couple of times already today with the Bafo numbers for the ratings last night, and Dave referenced it as well about Roger Goodell and the NFL. They didn't land a craft on Mars, but they did pull off a big night last night.
They sure did. First off, I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys having me back on. And yeah, I mean, the NFL it delivered, and I think everybody around the country was, itching to get some sports, some live sports, something on, and clearly it showed. And they just crushed it. And as we always say, things just always seem to work out for the NFL. You know what I mean? Like they're just the golden goose, and it always plays in their favor.
And it makes me hope that they pull it off in the fall on time without a hitch, because nothing sticks to them.
No, it really doesn't. And I'll say, obviously, we're going through a tough time, as a country and as a world. But I'll say this: the NFL they don't stop. They don't really lose money. So I got a good feeling. No matter what happens with the other sports, we're probably going to have some NFL football this fall.
What is interesting to me is, let's get right to it with Roger Goodell. I don't think he's in the same league with Pete Rozelle. I don't think he's in the same league with Tagliabue. Yet they keep on making more and more money.
He can't help it.
Maybe it's the model that was set up originally by Rozelle. That could be a big part of it. But this dude, I mean, look at last night. You have to give him credit for coming up with the idea of doing it this way virtually, and all of the technology that we were able to use. And I'm not even sure how many total cameras were involved in all of this, but to pull that off really and do that in about a month's time, that is amazing.
It is amazing, and I'm with you. Pete Rozelle is probably the gold standard, but I'll say this. You just alluded to why Roger Goodell is so valuable to the NFL, and it's because of TV money, right? Like that's really what exploded this league, in the last 20 years or so, the TV rights and everything. I mean, owning an NFL team legitimately is having a Powerball ticket that cashes every single year. That's for all 32 teams. That's how valuable it is. But yeah, I mean, I've got to say they did a great job, and you guys know, from producing, radio shows and everything. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into any production, and the risk last night, for technical glitches or things to go wrong or whatever was very high, and it went off without a hitch. They did an incredible job from ESPN to NFL Network, you name it. I thought, that all things considered, that everyone did a tremendous job last night.
And Roger Goodell deserves the great night. He deserves the credit for the great night that he had. But Alan, I'm convinced that those owners, I think there's out of 32, there has to be at least 8 to vote to fire him at any given time. There's not 2 out there because he keeps giving that Powerball money back to them. And you go in New Orleans, he's despised. In New England, he's despised. In a couple other NFL towns, he can't even enter town. He's so disliked. I know they don't have a team there anymore, but I don't think Roger Goodell can even fly over St. Louis. They might try to commandeer the plane if they think he's in the air above him, and he just walks right through it all. Nothing sticking to him, and he's immune to it all.
No, he really is. I mean, he's the new Teflon Don. You know what I mean? Like it really doesn't stick to him at all. And you're right. I mean, that's why the owners keep him around because one, he has no problem taking the flack. He has no problem, kind of putting on that vest and being in the front lines, when bombs are going off. And that's why he makes, $35-40 million a year because he takes those hits and continues to put money in the owner's hands. I mean, he does his job flawlessly. Whether you like him, don't like him, the guy does his job. It's just incredible what the NFL is and how far, it's come even in the last, 20 years, 30 years. And think about it. I mean, they haven't even started, with the global expansion that they want to do. I mean, this thing's only going to get bigger.
Alan, do you have any idea what they were hoping for last night in terms of television ratings or interest? To think that, you go from 10 million to 15.6 million, I mean, that is absolutely incredible. What was their hope?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it is incredible for them to be 37% up from last year, which last year's draft here in Nashville was incredible, right?
Yeah.
And for them to be 37% up, on streams and everything, they were shooting around the 12 million mark. I know that obviously with the kind of the time that we're in right now, with everyone being inside and being kind of quarantined in the house, that you are going to have just higher viewership because people really don't have a whole lot to do. But for them to hit a 15.6, I mean, it's just incredible. And then you look at the shares, across the top 10 markets, across the country. I mean, they were all above 10. I mean, it was just monster numbers. And, I know that they're happy. They got a lot of advertising money for that last night. It was just a perfect performance. It really was.
And the night itself was pretty chalky. It was pretty much how most of the mock drafts went. It wasn't a whole lot of intrigue, very few trades. And the trades were, moving a draft spot or two. Tampa Bay did that, and I think really capitalized with one of the big guys out of Iowa. When we were talking earlier in the week, Alan, give me a Kirk Ferentz offensive lineman, and I think I can win me some ball games.
You absolutely will. Kirk's won a lot of ball games with that, right? Yeah, I mean, it was pretty chalk, for the most part. I mean, other than, a couple, kind of surprising picks, towards the end, Green Bay especially. But, I think this was the first time that there wasn't a trade involving a top 10 pick, I think since 2015, somewhere around there. So, yeah. I mean, it was. And I think what you saw was a lot of teams, not only kind of feeling out, the draft and how different that it is, but also teams realizing that, that trades would be a little bit more difficult because this is going to be a deep draft, and teams did not want to give up, second and third round picks, which are going to prove to be very valuable. There's a ton of good names that are still on the board for tonight. I mean, it's going to be an incredible, round 2 and round 3 as well. So, yeah, I mean, it turned out pretty chalk. About pretty much what we thought.
Since you're in Nashville, explain to me what the setup was at Mike Vrabel's house with his kids.
It was a little bit wild. I don't know what he had going on. I'll say this: Mike Vrabel is he's kind of a fun-loving guy, right?
That's what I hear. I hear he's great.
Yeah, I mean, he enjoys life. He enjoys people. He doesn't. Even though he played for Belichick and he's one of Belichick's ultimate guys, they're not the same guy. And Vrabel likes to have fun with things, and he doesn't take things too seriously. He doesn't take himself too seriously. So, he had his kids over there and their friends. They even had the Freeze, from Atlanta Braves baseball games. I mean, that's just Mike Vrabel to a T. He likes to have fun. He likes people around him to have fun, and clearly it showed.
Alan, you think tonight will be Bill Belichick at his finest? You tweeted earlier, just a few minutes ago, in fact, Adam Schefter says this is the deepest second round in the last 25 years, and you quoted that as Belichick with 5 picks in the next 2 rounds, not to mention 8 more after that. He could really make some people pay tonight.
Yeah, he could. He absolutely could, and that's why you saw last night he wasn't afraid to trade out again and continue adding to it. So, I mean, if you look at just, the next 5 picks that he has, 1 in the second round, 4 in the third round, and then he has 8 more draft picks after that, right? Like, I mean, this is what Bill Belichick, he does every year. He loads up draft picks, and this is a guy that we saw, right before the quarantine time, kind of started. I mean, this was a guy that was standing in the rain at Middle Tennessee State in Murfreesboro, right? Like, the only coach that's there watching a fullback, right? Like, this guy is football. He eats it, sleeps, breathes it, everything. So this is kind of his dream, and you know what? He's going to need it because obviously that offense needs a lot of work. Defense needs a little bit, but they're going to be pretty good. It's a little tough to replace a guy named Tom Brady, but if anybody in the NFL can do it, it's Bill Belichick. So he might pull off some fireworks tonight.
You think he would look for a quarterback? Is there still anybody there now that Jordan got taken in a surprise pick late by the Green Bay Packers? Do you think there's anybody there that he would go for as a signal caller?
There could be. I mean, you look at the names that are out there: Jacob Easton, Jake Fromm, Jalen Hurts, still out there as well.
Hurts.
Like, there's some names. And give Belichick credit. I mean, even during, Tom Brady's, run, 16, 17 years there, Belichick was always drafting quarterbacks, right? Like, I mean, he went after Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham, who he has now. Like, he's never been afraid to bring in a guy, on a rookie deal, obviously, that doesn't cost him too much money, and give a guy a shot, see what he has. Because in the end, it's going to work out for Belichick one of two ways. Either the guy can play, and he's going to be ready to go, or the guy can play and he's going to trade him and get more draft picks for the next year. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. It depends on, guys that are there. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up with a Jalen Hurts, especially like in the third round. It could make a lot of sense for him.
In the AFC West, that's where the world champion Kansas City Chiefs reside. We know they will start the year that everybody will be gunning for them. They'll be one. Who will be pushing them the most? Drew Lock in Denver, Carr in Las Vegas, or the rookie in L.A., Herbert?
That's a great question. I'm going to say Drew Lock and the Broncos. I think they're going to have a nice resurgent year this year. I like Vic Fangio as a head coach. I like the culture that he's been building. And I know that last year was tough, but, that's growing pains with a rookie quarterback. But they go and add Jerry Jeudy to that offense. And I think the Broncos are a better team than people think. However, let me say this. The Las Vegas Raiders, what we've seen last year and then this year, out of Mike Mayock in the draft and John Gruden, they have hit on players. I think they hit on pretty much, all three of their first-round picks last year. This year they've got two of them. Yeah, they get Henry Ruggs and they get the cornerback. I can't remember his name. But, I mean, give the Raiders credit. That's a solid football team. If they get Jonathan Abram, their stud safety from Mississippi State, back from injury this year, look out. I mean, they could do some damage. They really could. That's a better team than people think.
We'll never know the answer to this, but if Mike Mayock had been there, do you think the Bears would have been able to make that deal to get Khalil Mack?
That's a great question. I don't know. You would think no, because, I mean, Khalil Mack is just such a good football player.
You can't trade him.
The trade-off obviously, worked out in terms of draft picks. But, man, I mean, it would just be very, very hard to ship that guy out, because that's what you want out of the draft. Like, he is absolutely the ultimate dream goal going into any draft, is to get him, and then you get rid of him. I know there's a high price tag, but I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm going to stay with AFC West because I'm intrigued by it, because what's old is new. I mean, it's back to Lenny Dawson and Daryl LaMonica and John Hadel. I mean, it's back to throwing 80-yard go routes. I mean, Locke and Jerry Jeudy, Carr in Las Vegas, and even with Herbert in Los Angeles, they've got some offensive weapons around him. They just paid Hunter Henry very well. And on defense, the Chargers' defense is ready to contend.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely, especially that defensive line, and with Bosa out there, for sure. And the hard part is this, I'm with you. Like, the AFC West is going to be a good division this year. The hard part is that the Chiefs are just unbelievable. I mean, they are loaded, and they just loaded up again on offense last night, getting the LSU running back.
Yep.
So they might make it look like the teams aren't as good just compared to them, but that's the best team in the NFL, So I'm with you. The AFC West is going to be a really solid division, and I like when it is, because those teams hate each other, and the fans hate each other. There's just something good about that, They just dislike each other, and it's a lot of fun when it's that way.
As you look at last night, is there a guy that is going to be 5 years from now, every year All-Pro, he's going to be one of the stalwarts of the game, a superstar?
Yeah, probably Tristan Wirth, exactly who we were talking about in terms of the tackle from Iowa. I mean, that guy is just everything that you want. He is the absolute dream in terms of being, everything on the offensive line that you would want. I would definitely put him up there. The wide receivers are all really good. Ruggs has the ability to be a Tyreek Hill type game changer. Jerry Jeudy was just a stud at Alabama, and CeeDee Lamb was incredible at Oklahoma. And especially for CeeDee Lamb to go to the Dallas Cowboys with that offense and the potential that they have, and especially with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, or, at least heading the offense at least, he's got a monster ability to kind of have like an A.J. Brown type season to where, he just goes off. There's so many good players that are going to come out of this draft. I thought the Minnesota Vikings, had one of the best drafts possible, getting Justin Jefferson from LSU, the wide receiver,
That was
and then
a steal.
Gladney, the quarterback from TCU. I thought the Vikings did an incredible job. So to answer your question, I got a feeling a lot more, percentage-wise of these first-round picks are going to be really good players.
You were very diplomatic about it. I would have just simply said Dallas finally has a real coach.
Yeah, they do. I like Mike McCarthy a whole lot, and especially McCarthy, with some needed motivation. Sometimes a change in scenery and a change in your life and somebody telling you you're not good enough. Sometimes you need that, and I got a feeling Dallas is going to be pretty good.
Why, along those lines, do you think it's taken so long for Jerry Jones to get a deal for Dak Prescott?
Just because it's a lot of money, and you have to make that decision, and you have to make it correctly. And I'll say this: I don't think that they're wavering on Dak Prescott. I think they're wavering on having that much money allocated in the salary cap, and I think that it could be that way with almost anybody in the league. And I understand it, because if you make the wrong decision, it can absolutely destroy your franchise. So I don't think that that they're shying away from doing the deal, but I think that they are going to take every last second to make sure that is the deal that they need to make.
Not necessarily touchdowns to interception ratio, but games started and just the old eye test. You know it. If you're seeing it develop, and if you're not seeing it develop. Is that next year for Haskins in Washington? He's got to start 13, 14 games, and you be able to go, okay, we're okay by him.
Yeah, he does. And especially with what Ron Rivera did, bringing in Kyle Allen, the quarterback from his time with Carolina Panthers, who's pretty good. Haskins is going to have, I'm not going to say a really short leash, but it's not going to be long. Like, he's going to have to prove himself, and he's going to have to, exactly like you said, go out there and not only prove himself, but do it over and over and over again. Because Ron Rivera, when you have a new head coach, nobody's job is safe, especially the third.
Everybody's on call.
Everybody.
Whose leash is shorter? His or Mitch Trubisky's in Chicago with Nick Foles behind him?
Oh, Mitch Trubisky. Trubisky's, his is going to be extremely short. It's going to look a lot like what Marcus Mariota's did last year with Ryan Tannehill. It's probably going to be shorter than that, just because Matt Nagy has to win. Because, Bears fans, NFL fans saw 2 years ago how good this team is, and the trade that they made to get Khalil Mack and bring him in there. They have to win now. And Mitch Trubisky, he better come out of the gate. He better come out of the training camp swinging, because if he doesn't, Nick Foles, as we've seen, he's good enough to come in from behind and take your job.
Go Foles, that's all I can say.
Well, Alan, enjoy the draft tonight and into tomorrow. We have it in front of us for 2 more nights, and we'll check back with you as we get a little more clarity on where the league goes. Now, the schedule, it was long ago announced that it would be post-draft, that it would be more May. How many different schedules do you think they have worked up? The traditional schedule, maybe one starting October, maybe a spring. Do you think they've got 3 working in front of them?
Oh, absolutely. I guarantee that the NFL has contingency plans in place. They probably don't have them all finalized, but they've got a good idea on paper of what they can do. And I'll say this, I've seen that scheduling process of just the regular schedule that they put out every year. It is incredibly detailed. That is a hard process to do, because you've got to lock in stadiums and cities, et cetera, et cetera. So I guarantee that's why it's taken this long, because they've got contingencies locked in as well.
I can't wait to see what they're going to do. You even got a franchise. When the New Orleans Saints said we're not even going to do any kind of OTAs, you're on your own. It sort of made me think that they really think this is a ways away. That maybe it won't start on time.
Yeah, I think it's a real concern, and I think that especially with Sean Payton having gotten the coronavirus, I think that he's got a little bit more maybe, compassion, I guess you could say, is the word.
Great point.
Of making sure everybody's okay. But that's a great point. The fact that they brought that up and explicitly said it, means that this thing isn't, it isn't 100%, and we really are taking this day by day, week by week.
Alan Bell from CBS, we thank you so much, and I'm sure as we do get plans more and more detailed and closer to becoming reality, we will chat more and more with you.
I look forward to it, guys. Thank you so much again for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Bell. Good stuff there. No doubt
Boy,
about it.
Crush Mitch Trubisky.
Well, everybody crushes Mitch Trubisky. I mean, this is going to be one of the great comeback stories in the history of mankind. When he comes back.
Wait. You just 4 minutes ago just said, let's go Nick Foles. You can't keep flipping back and forth like this on us.
I'm just
you
torn.
You got to pick one, Dave.
I'm just torn.
Come on, Dave. We'll be here for you, though.
I just want success at that position. I'm going to be data-driven.
Hey, Dave.
If Trubisky can come through, I'm for him. If he's not, get me Foles. You don't want to waste this defense.
Look on the bright side. At least we're not talking about the kicker anymore.
No, that's now reserved for Gotti, who got let go way too early by Bill Belichick. This will come down as Bill Belichick's biggest nightmare year. Brady left him, and he got rid of Gotti way too soon. Robbie Gold-like way too soon.
So that AFC East is finally there for the taking, huh?
The Buffalo Bills, baby.
With that quarterback?
No. I don't know. He's
you
a little
remember that playoff game against Houston?
Yeah, he's a little up and down. He's a little bit, another year under his belt. I really think this is going to be. We'll see what Bill does in the next 3 or 4 rounds of this draft, where he's got all these picks and what he comes up with. He's Bill Belichick, but my sense is a lot of losses there. A lot of losses personnel-wise could mean L's on the field.
So how old do you think the lineman from Iowa would be that the Bucs drafted? 22, 23 or so?
Was he a 4-year guy? He could be 21.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Tom Brady's old enough to be his dad.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. That dude, when he jumped out of the shallow end of the swimming pool, that did it for me. That just told me this guy. We'd already talked about him. I know you were high on him, and Jimmy was too. But when he jumped out of that swimming pool, and everybody says he's really smart. I mean that was it. And I give the Bucs a lot of credit. I mean, they knew he was their guy. They moved up one spot because they were worried about it, and they made sure they got him. And when this guy's got every tool he's the best athlete, they say, of everybody in the bunch. Pushes people off the ball.
Big nasty.
And
I like him.
And when he jumped out of that, you know how hard it is to. He's like 330 or 335 to lift that out of the swimming pool to jump out. Oh my gosh!
And it is physically, athletically very, very impressive. And no, I couldn't begin to do it. I couldn't do it out of my bathtub. But how many times in actual real football game is he going to jump out of the swimming pool?
No, but Brett, the thing is, if you have the leg strength and balance and core,
but it's like 40-yard dashes for linemen. I don't care what they run a 40 in.
No, but I can tell you this: if you can jump out of a swimming pool, it means you got a good first step. That's what you care about.
He's got a good one, but
he's a Hall of Famer. I'm telling you. He and Chase Young are the two stars of this draft.
We'll do that Tuesday with Bo. We'll pick our first-round Hall of Famer, and I can tell you now, mine's going to be Derek Brown from Auburn.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but it's a hard one for you coming up next in the
you got it.
In the final hour.
Boy, I had Drew. Should we tell Dave with a very senior moment I just had?
I think we should. Everyone should know this.
So after Allen Bell crushes unprovoked by me and Drew, Mitch Mitchell, I text to Drew, when we get through with Allen, let's crush Mitch Mitchell here with Dave. And Drew texted back to me, I'm so down. Now, how would you take that, Dave?
I guess he's upset. No Baltimore news. I don't know. Why is he down?
That's what I see. It's not just so I text back to Drew. I'm afraid, maybe something happened during the day or something is going on that I didn't know about, or he's disappointed about where his Ravens picked. And I text back to him, what happened? And he texts back to me, what do you mean? And I texted back to him, you said you were down. I thought sad. You meant, let's rip Dave. I had a senior moment.
I'm down on it.
Yeah, I'm so down. Like being down as in I'm in.
You should know if you're going to go 2-on-1, you guys are all for it. You love ganging up. That's your whole mentality.
Dave, it's not ganging up. It's choosing the right side of the conversation.
That is
Dave, you're being too sensitive.
Your mentality, you guys. You're just inherently bullies, and when you feed off of each other. Oh, my gosh. On that note, let's take a break. We're back in just a minute. We will be chatting with Pat Smith from Jocks. Not about bullying, but about the SEC success last night was pretty impressive, I think. We'll get his take on all of that in just a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there providing for the community. Let's support local business with your business. The Gun Store, Holly Chevrolet, The Bear's Den, the Peabody Hotel, The Shot Nurse, Laser Aesthetics Body and Wellness. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include Central Barbecue, Sunrise, Sweetgrass, Humdinger's, Germantown Commissary, Jason's Deli, Corky's, East Coast Wings, Moe's, and Soulfish Cafe. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Commitment, dedication, perseverance. At FedEx, our people are our strength. Even during these unprecedented times, we are delivering medical supplies, test kits, and the things you need every day. Helping the world move forward together. Strength, what we deliver by delivering. FedEx.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Coming up on the other side of
Bully
our
was
friend
a mean
Pat
word,
Smith
Dave.
from Jocks. What?
Bully was a mean word.
Well, you guys do get this gang-like attitude.
You know what the bumper sticker says about mean people?
Is there a picture of you on it?
No, Dave.
Oh.
I've never been called a bully in my life.
You've never been called a bully in your life?
Ever. I've never been one.
Okay.
We were just telling you the truth about Mitch Mitchell.
Oh.
We're here for you.
I know that.
You tell?
I always know that.
Thank you. Good.
I just want to let everybody know, coming up after Pat Smith, let's do a big Q. What do you say?
Let's do. I'm ready.
We'll do a big
got a
Q.
good one.
So somebody's going to get some barbecue from our friend Walker Taylor at the commissary. And you can, of course, go to either of the commissaries, the one in Collierville, the new one with the drive-thru, or the one in Germantown, the quaint little area there where they'll do pickup for you. All you have to do is call up, and they will bring it to you curbside. That's the way to go. You know, you make the call, and smart thing to do is give them your credit card number so there's no exchange or anything. They bring it, they'll put it in the car for you that way. It is perfect, and they're still there. They are still working their tails off. Both locations where you can get your favorite barbecue, You can get your ribs. You can get your pulled shoulder. You can get your chicken. You can get your tamales. You can get your icebox lemon pie if you're Brett Norsworthy. You can get your banana pudding if you're Dave Woloshin. It's that simple. They are still working hard at both commissary, and we're going to give away a 6-pack coming up right after Pat Smith.
We will. Pat Smith from Jocks joins us now. You can follow him on Twitter at Pat Smith Radio. Dave, Pat, we may gang up on you about the Cubs before this conversation ends.
Don't tell me, Pat. Are you a Cardinal fan, Pat?
Oh, huge. As big as
I
I
am
am,
a
if not bigger.
diehard Cardinal fan. Absolutely.
Deep in the heart of Brave country, too. Pat is a 27-year sports talk radio vet in Birmingham, and last night, Pat Smith, it was a big night for the SEC, and all's well that ends well for Tua. The Dolphins tanked for him, and they got him.
It's interesting, guys, because, the topics down here, we just didn't believe the whole time that Miami, it was like a smokescreen, that, they wanted to go after Herbert and that, the Chargers were going to be the team, the next one on the clock for Tua. We never bought that. We found out about a week ago that right before the craziness happened across the country with COVID-19, that Miami wanted to bring Tua to South Florida for a private workout. Well, unfortunately, around that time, that's when travel bans and all the things that started happening across the country. And so Tua was unable to go down there. So we had always heard that, again, that Miami was the number one team that most likely to draft Tua. But then it went really, really quiet. And even the people close to Tua started saying that they had their doubts that Miami was actually going to take him. So when Miami finally pulled the trigger last night, there were many people going, well, the smokescreen really didn't work. And sure enough, he ended up being a Dolphin.
Why? But why the intrigue? Why did they have to do that? There was no question Cincinnati was going to take Joe Burrow, no doubt. That was was a done deal, and it made geographic sense. The kids from that area, and everybody was excited. As soon as they had gotten that first pick, everybody was buying his jersey and buying Bengals tickets. So that was a done deal. Yeah, I don't think you had to worry about Detroit that much. I don't think they really wanted a quarterback. If they were that really worried, they could have made a deal because Detroit said they were open to deals. So I don't understand all the intrigue by this. Why did they have to put out the smokescreen?
It's very interesting. It's a great question. And Noah Igbenogany, the Auburn defensive back that went in the first round late last night, I believe after 11 o'clock, to the Dolphins. I talked to his head football coach in high school this morning, and he had talked to Noah around 1 o'clock this morning, and the whole time he had hardly any communication whatsoever with the Dolphins. So it seemed to me that this was kind of like the theme, guys, that the Dolphins were playing all their cards very close to their vest, and even Noah Igbenogany had no idea that the Dolphins were going to take him last night. So it was a surprise for everybody. So I guess that was kind of their thing going into the whole draft, that they just were not going to let anybody know what they were going to do, including the players.
If Tua Tagovailoa leads the Miami Dolphins at some point in his Dolphin career to a Super Bowl championship, their first since the Don Shula days, since the 70s, since the year after going undefeated, will that finally be enough for forgiveness from South FLA to Nick Saban?
I think so, because based on the excitement I saw last night, because I think Miami folks really thought that they were going to screw this up. I mean, the franchise has obviously been checkered the last few years in regards to who they've drafted and how they've been able to not overcome certain obstacles as they just continue to fumble their way in the AFC. So it's interesting how Nick Saban went on the old press tour the last week or so, really talked up Tua a lot, and also brought up the terrible decision that they made as an organization when he was still the head football coach of the Dolphins by taking Culpepper instead of guess who?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees was coming off the shoulder injury from San Diego, and so them as an organization decided, you know what, because of his injury, we're going to go elsewhere. So he kept playing that tune all week that, you know what, I hope Miami as a franchise, they don't make the same mistake we made when I was the head coach of the Dolphins. Don't turn your back on somebody that's coming off an injury, because look at what Drew Brees has been able to do in New Orleans.
Are you 100% certain that Tua is totally healthy, ready to go, will be a great pro like he was a great collegiate quarterback?
Not this year, no. I think he's going to be able to tutor under Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to be able to get down there, learn that playbook. You know, we all know, guys, that injuries they're part of football. And granted, Tua, you know, very well publicized injuries with his ankles and, of course, his hip in the Mississippi State game and things of that nature. So all indications are, from a physicality standpoint, I think that he is ready to start the process of becoming an NFL quarterback. Do I think that you could trot him out there in week 2 or 3 if something happens to Fitzpatrick? I don't think so. But I do think that there is the ability for him to learn that playbook, learn the NFL, and to be a professional, and that maybe in year 2 next season, he will be able to really come out as gangbusters. There's no question that Miami, yes, they're going to take the criticism because, well, his health. That's all you kept hearing about. But he was too good of a quarterback to let somebody else take, and put all your eggs in the Herbert basket just didn't make any sense.
I didn't do that.
I didn't either.
We lost Pat. We'll catch back up with him. Drew, give him a call back. You know, it's amazing about Tua. The only throw that he did not possess at Alabama, the only single throw out of the entire arsenal was the ability to throw it away. And that's what got him hurt a time or two, is trying to keep a play alive instead of living for another day.
Well, that's what the biggest criticism that I read anywhere, and they said it again last night, was basically that he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. Pat, we are so sorry. Somehow you got knocked off. That you just got sacked by somebody.
I knocked over my shot of Clorox that I was doing before you guys called me.
We all have had them, haven't we?
Well, get in the sunshine quick then.
Exactly. No, but back to what you're talking about, Tua holding on to the ball too long. I mean, that happened in the Mississippi State game. That happened numerous times when he got in trouble in the Georgia game, in the SEC championship game, when he got banged up again. Those things were legitimate criticisms. Nick Saban was very quick to point out of all of the accolades for Tua and what he was at the University of Alabama. That was the one thing that he would always point his finger to, is that you've got to know when to throw the football away. You got to know not to make the play, just throw it away and be done. Now, guys, keep in mind in the national championship game, I think Nick Saban was ready to kill him when he took that sack before 2nd and 26 bomb that won the national championship. It was something that he had a problem with from day one, and it continued, and it ultimately cost him maybe being the number 1 pick in the draft by getting hurt at the Mississippi State game.
We are talking
last night. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dick.
We're talking with Pat Smith from Jocks down in Birmingham, Alabama, and last night, 15 of the 32 first-round picks all came from the SEC. Do you think this is now verification? And nobody can say that the media hypes up the SEC. This is proof positive. This is clearly the best league in college football.
No question. I mean, when you have 6 players selected in the top 10 picks, and you look at what LSU and Alabama put on the board, between the two, that would be 9. It was unbelievable to see. Now, I'll have to give Urban Meyer credit. Urban Meyer can identify talent. He can't coach on the sideline when there's pressure, obviously, because he's left 2 really good jobs because he had certain issues. But he can identify talent. And outside of Ohio State, you look at what else was on that board. It was SEC. And then, you look at what potentially could come off the board tonight. I mean, you've still got, oh, my goodness, you've got Swift, you've got Fromm. You've got Xavier McKinney at Alabama. You got Marlon Davidson at Auburn. I mean, the list goes on and on. I think the SEC tonight, especially in round 2, maybe not as big a night as they had last night, but there's no question, guys, that this is the conference. And because of the competition that they face each and every week, I mean, when you look at the tape of those guys, when they were breaking them down, they were always showing teams going up against either LSU or Alabama. And if you can perform against that type of elite competition every Saturday, film doesn't lie. And the coaches know that when you're in the SEC and you're going through that kind of gauntlet, that's really going to pay dividends for you when you get to a day like yesterday and today when it comes to the draft. hands down, SEC, best in football.
Pat, there's two guys in the SEC that I'm keeping my eye on the rest of the weekend. I think it'll be tonight for Lynn Bowden at Kentucky, and who takes him and how they use him, as he has often been described and compared to Hines Ward when Hines Ward was at Georgia, and Hines Ward went on to be an MVP of a Super Bowl, and I think it's going to Canton. But here's another guy. It's probably tomorrow. And he may not make it with the team that drafts him. He may not get drafted. It might be undrafted free agent. But Daniel Batuli from Tennessee, that guy can play football. He makes tackles. To me, he's a lot like Vontaze Burfict on the football field.
No question about it. And again, when you look at the list of guys, not a lot surprised me last night in round one. But when you have certain guys, like you mentioned, from Tennessee and South Carolina and things like that, again, it goes back to watching that tape and looking and see maybe the overall product of that team in particular on that given Saturday was not that good and the record wasn't very good. But because of their athleticism and because, again, the tests that they go through each and every week, those type guys are going to be given the benefit of the doubt, and they're going to be given an opportunity to play at the next level. And that's why scouts salivate over players like that in regards to their draft status.
He is Pat Smith from Jocks. What are you guys going to talk about once this draft ends?
Well, I tell you what, each day we just keep asking ourselves, just like you guys do probably on a daily basis, is, what's the window? How far can we go throughout the summer before we have, a date that we can say, if we get past this, we can't play college football. That is what everybody is concerned with, along with everyone's health, is at what juncture do we have to say there's no football this fall? We're going to have to look at the January or February model. But again, when you get to that situation, what's going to happen to players like Trevor Lawrence, Najee Harris at Alabama? Are they even going to play if it's a January or February football season? Because then you're going to have a draft in April or May. If you play in the fall and you get hurt, you have a little bit of time, like Tua did, to maybe rehab and to get yourself in a position to be drafted. But how many of these top-notch players are going to put themselves in a position in January, February to potentially be hurt? Those are the type of topics we're having every day.
And how about this one, Pat? Are we sure Roger Goodell will kick that NFL draft back, or will he be trying to have a draft in the middle of bowl season and CFP playoffs?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I think at that point in time, I think the NFL would probably, I would just assume that they would try to push it back a little bit, because you really would. I mean, you would have an exodus of probably some of the top-notch players in all of college football, because, again, it's about their future, and are they going to risk their future by being able to come back and play in January and February, and then 2 months later or 3 months later, you're getting ready for an NFL draft. That's not a lot of time there. So that's the biggest question to us down here in Birmingham, just like it is in Memphis and everywhere else, is at what juncture are we looking at a completely no football for the 2020 calendar year, and at least get it in during the academic school year, which will be 2021.
Well, if they're moved to have to do that, they're basically saying we are in survival mode. It's an economic must-have. We have to play some games, and if we lose some players, we lose some players. That to me.
But we got to put something on TV.
But we definitely have to get the TV money, because for the most part, the whole package is 85% of our revenue stream. We can't lose all that. We have to do something. That would be my bet.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it comes to the point to where you have got, like a program here in Birmingham, and like you guys have in Memphis, Memphis Tigers and the UAB Blazers. I mean, these guys, granted, the AAC is a better conference than Conference USA as far as monetary compensation goes, but when you go play these Power 5 programs in these non-conference games and you make $1.82 million on your schedule, that goes and pays for a lot of things, a lot of activities on your campus, and it pays for football programs. And if you can't do that for any extended period of time, you're looking at a lot of non-Power 5 programs. They're going to have to really take some hard decisions and look at the potential of maybe dropping certain sports or even dropping football back. And that is just an awful thing to even think about at this juncture. But unfortunately, we have to because of the finances.
No question. Pat, thank you so much. Stay
Thanks,
healthy.
Pat.
We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, guys. Stay well.
You too. You and your family. That is Pat Smith from Jocks. Real quick, we'll give you a big Q, Germantown Commissary big question for a six-pack from the commissary, either Collierville or Germantown. Answer this tough one, I'm sure, that Brett will throw out.
Last year, he won the Heisman Trophy with the greatest single college football season ever, 60 touchdown passes for Joe Burrow. The year before that at LSU, plus or minus 2. I'll even be that lenient. Plus or minus 2. How many touchdown passes did he have in his first year in Baton Rouge? It wasn't 60.
No, it wasn't close. If you know that number, you are a winner of a six-pack. Call us on the First Bank phone line, 360-8255, 360-8255, 60 this year. How many last year for Joe Burrow? The winner gets a six-pack from the commissary. We're back in a minute with your answers on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Navigating the stock market can be pretty scary when you retire. Some investors choose annuities, which seem to take the risk out of investing. But Fisher Investments says, watch out. Annuities don't always provide the safety they promise. You can't take a chance. If you have $500,000 or more, call 1-800-885-2288 for Fisher's free guide, Annuity Insights. It answers the annuity questions you should ask. 1-800-885-2288.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there providing for the community. Let's support local business with your business. Airmasters, we take care of all your heating and air conditioning needs. A-plus appliance repair, parts and service for major appliances. JR's Autos, your used car place. Memphis Auto Parts, king of auto parts. Airways Tires, in business for 52 years. Mid-South Hearing Aid, providing better hearing. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire-roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
This is Peter Edmiston from Sports 56 Mornings. During this coronavirus pandemic, all of us at Sports 56 urge you to please stay home, practice social distancing, and wash your hands often. While you're home, stay connected with Sports 56. Turn us on your radio, phone, computer, or smart speaker and stay up to date and connected. This is a tough time for everyone, but we will get through it if we all do our part. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected with Sports 56 and Sports56WHBQ.com.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Closing out hour number 2 on this glorious Friday afternoon. So glad you could be with us. We got a Big Q, Collierville or Germantown Commissary Big Q question out there. It is very simple. This was a great year for Joe Burrow. Over 5,000 yards passing and over 60 touchdowns that he threw for. How many his first year in Baton Rouge, the year before, how many touchdowns did he throw that year? If you know, you get a six-pack from the commissary. I got to tell you, Brett, Drew nailed it. He flashed the sign to me, He knew.
Way to go, Drew.
But he's not eligible for anything.
Thank you. I know a few things in this business.
Glad to know. Robbie is first up at 360-8255 on the First Bank phone line. You know the answer to that question, Robbie?
Well, I seen it on the draft last night. I think it said 22.
No, not that many.
And that is not within the two that we were going to give you. So, Robbie, thank you for playing, but not this time. So we will go to Art. Art, it's your turn with Wolo and Stats. Go ahead.
One ear last night, and I think they said either 16 or 18, so I'll say 17.
Well, you were right the first time. You were right in the middle. You were within two. Art, you got a six-pack of commissary coming your way.
16 to 60.
Yeah, 16 to 60. Isn't that not
what
amazing?
What an improvement.
Well, it's
all right. Thank you, guys.
One of the greatest
Thank you,
seasons. Art, we will thank you. We got to get a bunch of info. We are now sending you the coupon for the six-pack, but we thank you for listening. We thank you for playing, and you're a winner.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Putting you on hold. Drew will get you, and we shall go from there. Coming up, Andy Schiffman's going to join us. Now, you've made the hardline call. You don't think there will be any more NBA this year, huh?
I don't think there will be another game played this calendar year. Not until we get all the way through this, because you think of one of the there are a couple places, but one of the real lifeblood, arteries of the NBA. Well, it's Los Angeles because of the Lakers and because of the very improved Clippers and and Golden State, and they're trying to bounce back from a bad year. I don't know that their governor would let them travel and then come back to the state in the calendar year of 2020, unless he really modifies between now and the end of the year. And you can't knock the job that he's done with that population, 40 million people, and have that few fatalities. He's had a good handle on it.
Well, Ryan Finley was talking about it. The governor and the mayor of California and Los Angeles have worked together, and they're tough and they're smart.
You know who that mayor is, don't you? His dad was the head of the prosecutor's office during OJ. His dad was.
Is that right? I did
Gil
not.
Garcetti.
I did.
What's the mayor's name?
Yeah, I know the name Garcetti for sure.
Yeah.
I did not put two and two together.
His dad was the one on that famous Friday afternoon of the NBA playoff game, and before the slow speed chase started, basically went out and said, O.J. Simpson's a fugitive of the law.
Yeah. Well, I think that's tricky, and I know we'll talk about it on High Hard Ones here too. But you've got leagues that cover different states that all have different laws that will apply, and how we will get all of this together, I don't know. I'm hoping for the Louisville treatment. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, we all are, aren't we? I mean, we keep waiting. I mean, we keep Dave. It's almost like we're sitting back and playing defense instead of playing offense, and we're waiting for that miracle.
Well, I was listening, and I don't know if it was some health official, national health official, was talking about how normally the track of time for a vaccine would be 5 years. And this particular doctor was saying, I do believe we'll have it between a year and a half. But that is incredibly fast-tracking what we would normally do. And I was sitting there and thinking, necessity is the mother of invention, and we've got all different kinds of fronts that we keep hearing positive things medically that we are making advancements with. And I have faith in our geniuses, our doctors.
I do too. I believe in American exceptionalism.
Community. But did you know that the normal time to develop a vaccine is 5 years? That seems incredibly long to me.
I don't know that I didn't. And I referenced it a few weeks ago, in the years 1942 and 1943, we were losing World War II, and the specter of defeat in World War II was very real, and we had to almost have a miracle with the atomic bomb and with the Manhattan Project. and with all the testing out in Nevada, we're right here now. We need the atomic bomb of cures.
Yeah, and as many people are working on it all over the world, I believe we'll get it sooner rather than later. At least, I'm an optimistic guy, but I kind of have faith that way. We'll see. We take a break. When we come back, Andy Schiffman will join us. We got high hard ones coming your way at the bottom of the hour. This is the Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG FM Tunica Memphis, and WPGFLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Last hour of this busy week, we have Andy Schiffman with us talking NBA, and we love to visit with the hometown product, Chicago-based, but back home now during the lockdown quarantine, or basically the entire country had I said a few weeks ago, Dave, it's almost like everybody's team in every sport got the death penalty and they can't play, and it's almost like every single one of us is kind of on house arrest during the quarantine, but we'll try to come out of it.
You know what? I was saying this to my wife. Normally we go through, as you know, you're as busy as I am. We go through a football season, then I go straight to basketball, and between doing a coach's show on television or whatever, I don't stop, right? From September until April, I don't stop. And then usually I'm going to take an extended little long weekend or I'm going to take a trip, or there's something that I've got an opportunity to look forward to. And you know, that could be a concert or, you know, a golf trip. It could be anything. We don't have that. No. You know, that's the hardest part. That's why we had to have Dr. Frank Masur on the other day. That's the hardest part now is
it is. There's nothing to look forward to.
Mentally going, well, So you're telling me I'm going to be quarantined like this through, probably, the surge is going to be late May, middle of June, and then we might not have what? How can we do this? You got to have something,
We'll
right?
see
To gear yourself mentally.
We do.
You have to go, okay, I can do this because I know at the end I got this. We just don't know what's on the other side.
We'll see if Andy's a little more optimistic of me about basketball after I tell you about the sponsor of this hour. That's our friends at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. 662-890-7184. Go online, check out the referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. All the cars test driven, checked out head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, DeSoto Auto Sales, they'll go find that car you want for you. No shortcuts taken. You're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they do care about your time because they know we're living in a world today that time really matters, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. Walk in, deal with your sales rep. Within 45 minutes, test drive your car, get credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in your new car in time to do it over your lunch hour, immediately after work, or at any time all day tomorrow. At DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Andy Schiffman joins us every week. Andy, I'm sure you were part of the 15.6 million that watched the NFL draft last night. Do you think after seeing that the NBA is going, wow, that was actually pretty darn good. Maybe we need to start thinking about something.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on as always, and hope you're both staying safe and healthy. Still down in Memphis myself. Yep, I watched the NFL draft. I don't think, honestly, Dave, it gave the NBA any new information other than seeing how it worked virtually with the commissioner, what seemed like maybe in a home office, and then the teams kind of scattered around, everyone just set up remotely. And then it was really cool how they had the cameras in each of the top players' homes, and then ESPN or whatever channel was on, interview the players remotely, virtually rather. So that was pretty unique, and I think that provided the NBA with an example, let's say, or a test run of how an NBA draft could potentially work if this still is ongoing, the pandemic, and it will prohibit all of these draftees and fans going to New York and going to the Barclays Center, what is supposed to be June 25th. Now, right now, I don't believe the draft will be June 25th. Most of the NBA teams do not believe they're going to be drafting on June 25th. It will likely be pushed back. However, to your point earlier, in terms of finding reason to just be mentally sharp and stay optimistic, I guess for me on the business side, I have no choice to do that just because we don't know when the draft will be. So we have, as an agent, I have to prepare members of our draft class, and we've got a great class put together, to expect the draft could be in June, expect to go and work out for teams tomorrow. That's not going to happen, but theoretically, we want to be able to prepare our players just to be ready if that happens. But at the end of the day, the NBA, again, just like we talked about last week, nobody knows when things will get moving, when there will be a draft, if there will be an NBA draft combine, workouts, when the season will resume. We just don't know, and we won't know, for that matter, until things really open up and actually improve.
Andy, how scared are you of your guys? I've used this word a couple times, and it's a bad word. Atrophy, just the do nothing factor. How worried are you employing your guys do something every day?
Absolutely, that's absolutely, and we've, as an agency, actually at Priority Sports, we were able to partner with a manufacturer of a basketball hoop, and in exchange for some social media posts, we were able to successfully get just about all of our players that do not have access to a hoop, a portable hoop that they can put up in their driveway, and just to have some access to a basketball hoop. All of them have NBA basketballs. I was able to, secure that for our guys and make sure at the very least, walk around, work on your ball handling, do something. And luckily, this is a lifestyle for these guys. So I don't really have to get on them too much to make sure they're staying active in some fashion because they don't know any better. They're not doing anything else with their time other than communicating with fans on social media, participating in some things here and there for charity purposes, but staying sharp and staying ready.
It's interesting you bring that up because Jaren Jackson Jr. Was part of a Zoom press conference this past week, and in it, somebody asked him, I guess, if he'd been playing any basketball, and he said he couldn't remember the last time he played any hoop. He said it'll come back, but he said, I've got an elliptical, I've got a stationary bike, and I got a treadmill. So I hit those hard. So his cardio, obviously, is still pretty good, but he's not touched a basketball, shot a basketball, been around a hoop since really March 11th.
No, absolutely. I mean, Brandon Clark, obviously one of my clients at the Grizzlies, where he lives in Memphis, he does not have access to a hoop. He actually ended up going home last week to California with his family, and they have we were able to get him a new hoop in his driveway just to be able to have access to that and shoot the ball. And so what gets lost in all this talk about resuming this season, I think a lot of fans particularly might think, okay, if the NBA season is set to resume July 15th, for example, I'm just throwing out a random date, then it's not like teams will all of a sudden just roll out of bed and show up and start hooping. There absolutely has to be some leeway and some sort of time set aside for basically a mini training camp, because despite professional athletes and these basketball players staying in shape and working on their cardio and doing what they can, as you both know, doing that and going to play in an NBA game, a fast-paced NBA game with the most elite athletes in the world, is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And so they have to be able to ease into it. And I deal with the same thing with our players over in Europe. A lot of players there are concerned that if games do start up for certain leagues over there, how are they going to manage that with players? But it's a primary concern of mine for sure, just to make sure there are no injuries. And the NBA has done a great job of addressing that, and hopefully more and more leagues globally do the same. But at the end of the day, at least in terms of international basketball, I don't believe they'll resume games at all. I think the NBA is still split. We just don't know.
I don't know either. I know my partner here, Brett Norsworthy, has said a couple times today he does not think the NBA will come back. I think we'll just have to wait and see.
This calendar year.
We know it's not going away forever. But
the other thing is, not to cut you off, and you might have touched upon this, but what I think could happen is if and when professional sports do return, I wouldn't be shocked if there's some variation of half full stadiums, capacity at half full, because if you are concerned about the virus, and let's say we don't have a vaccine available yet to the public, but things are good enough to where you can go out and congregate in large gatherings, I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see them selling every other seat or even less than that for these arenas. And so the financial impact for all these sports leagues goes well beyond what's going to happen this year and well beyond just potentially starting late next season.
If you bring that up, let's just say that is the case, at least for a while, what would that do to the salary cap? Now, that's a revenue stream that has to be figured in, and we all know it's a percentage, but it's 53.5% or whatever the exact number is, that the revenues are then split by the players. And if that revenue stream gets cut, then that's whatever that loss is at times 53% that you're going to lose. Are the players willing to lose that money?
Just to your point, Dave, players are set to agree to receive 51% of the revenue. It's the 51-49 split per the last CBA, and if that means owners are due to receive that 49%. And so at the end of this, if revenue drops significantly, which it will, and even in the future, because all of a sudden they're not selling as many tickets at the gate, and then you think about fewer concessions, fewer things sold at the team store, gate receipts, parking, all the things that go into going to an NBA game and hosting an NBA game, absolutely the salary cap will decrease, because the salary cap is set based on how much revenue the NBA brought in, and it spiked years ago due to the new recent TV deal that's still in place. But there's so so many other factors that go into accounting for basketball-related income. And to your point, ticket sales is absolutely a large number in that ultimate calculation. So, yes, the salary cap will decrease if that is the case. And then the next obvious question might become, well, what does that mean then? Well, players will be able to, I guess, teams, let's say, will have less money to spend in the market, which unfortunately decreases players' salaries, decreases agent commission, for example, and it just overall takes everything down a peg in terms of revenue on both the player side for their income, but also the team side made up of the ownership group and the board of governors in the NBA.
Today there was news. Precious Achiuwa has decided he will enter the NBA draft. He is going to sign with an agent. I don't know who that is. Could be you for all that I know.
Unfortunately, it's not us.
Okay.
We were in there.
Darn.
To no avail.
Darn.
My Memphis ties didn't carry me very far in that one, Dave.
But, well, he is a New York kid from Nigeria, so he may have leaned East Coast. I'm not certain who the agent was. He did not say that, at least that I read. But he did say he was going to enter. I've seen anywhere from 16 to 30, pretty much, in the first round for him. Where do you think Precious Achiuwa goes? What do you like about him? What are your biggest question marks about him?
Sure. No, I think he needs to continue to sharpen his skill set. He is still somewhat raw, but the physicality jumps off the page to me and to a lot of NBA teams. They absolutely can look at a kid like Precious and see him affecting a roster, especially defensively. That's probably the biggest skill that most teams really love coming into the NBA right away. I've even had some teams tell me that a guy like that, for as physical as he is, could absolutely, if you're going to play some small ball five, he can play that position at the five. They probably view him more as a four. Could he be a three? But the point is, he's very versatile. He's very physical. He's physically ready for the league, can defend in multiple positions. So there's a lot to like and a lot to work with in terms of a developmental standpoint if you're a team drafting him. And for that reason, it is the right decision to go and put your name in for the draft. My take on it is if you're an underclassman and the NBA is your goal and you feel very strongly that you're going to be a solid first-round pick or even someone picked in the top 40, because the first 10 to 12 picks in the second round recently and historically will get a significant amount of guaranteed money. We've had great luck with that with some players picked in the 30s in recent drafts, getting more money than even guys picked in the 20s, which is great. So for a guy like Precious, you hit the nail on the head. I think his range is late lottery, as high as 12 or 13, and I don't see him getting out of the mid-20s. And it's really interesting. It will be very interesting to see what happens, because typically there are workouts to go to where players can really help themselves and move themselves up. And that's right now off the table. That is not being discussed as something that will be available to this incoming draft class. And so right now, all of the seniors who are entering the draft, who are automatically eligible for the draft, are going and doing all of these Zoom interviews and virtual interviews with NBA team personnel. That's been going on for the last 2 weeks. Starting next week, when the list of early entrants, including Precious Achiuwa, gets disseminated to NBA teams, then at that time, after April 28th, NBA teams can begin interviewing underclassmen. Now, what's interesting is there's always a date by which a player like Precious has to decide to retain his NCAA eligibility. Will he stay in the draft or will he withdraw? And that is 10 days after the NBA Combine, and that date this year is June 4th. And you would think the NCAA, who comes out with this date, would push that date back, because it seems very likely the draft would be pushed back to give these kids more time to be evaluated. But to this point in time, the NCAA has been silent on that issue and has not said they're going to move that date back. So a player like Precious, while it makes sense for him to stay in the draft, there are a lot of other players, let's say, that are really going to have to pack in as many of these interviews and be evaluated as quickly as possible, because there's a deadline for them, whereas it's not the case for other players like seniors or international players coming over, or players like Precious. At the end of the day, you know you're going to stay in the draft. So a lot will be told in these interviews, but at the end of the day, no matter what happens in Precious's team interviews, I mean, he's still considered a top 20 pick pretty universally around the league. And like I said, I don't think there's going to be a ton of movement in terms of players helping or hurting their stock over the next few months. I think the lay of the land is already set to where these players entering the draft are kind of all in buckets now. And it just depends on if you're in the first bucket, the top tier players, the Wiseman, the Balls, Edwards of the world, second, third bucket, etc. And then within each bucket, what order do you prefer these players to be in? I don't really think you're going to see a lot of movement from one bucket to another where you might see a player that's thought of as a pick in the early 30s all of a sudden move himself up to the late teens and vice versa.
Andy, let me amend my very dour forecast for the rest of this year for the NBA with this, and it's a little bit of a catch-all CYA for me, but I'm sincere when I say it. In Adam Silver, I trust. I mean, he can make music. He can perform a miracle. He might be able to pull this off.
No, I do. I think so. I mean, all the players trust him. To your point, all the players trust him. He's got a great relationship with the Players Association, with agents, with all the players. And so from all of my conversations, there has not been one voice that has expressed concern that he will make a negligent or careless decision that jeopardizes the health and safety and well-being of these players. So he's got my trust. I think he knows what he's doing, to your point. But again, what I like about how he's handled this whole thing is he has even come forward and said himself, look, I'm not going to sit there and put a deadline on something when we're going to know if we're going to play or not. Bottom line is, I don't know. And we're all in this boat, and there are a lot of teams that I deal with internationally that are putting dates, putting a timeline on things, and then the timeline comes up, and all they do is move it back again. And that's happened with some really reputable international leagues, but I absolutely applaud the fact that Adam Silver has not done that with the NBA, because the truth of the matter is, everything is just ambiguous right now. We just won't know how things go. And is there a time later in the summer where he may say it's just too late to salvage this season because we have to now shift our focus to next season, or else we're talking about potentially starting next season in 2021? I'm sure there is, but we don't know when that date will be.
Well, he was smart enough to say, we don't know enough yet with the way all these emergency scenarios have played out throughout all these states that there's no reason until they start opening back up to make any kind of decision.
Right.
And so he held it off till May. Now he's in a week or two, he's going to have to say something, whether he again delays it, which could very well be the case, or has something concrete to say. We shall see. But he was the first guy to say, look, there's nothing we can do till May. Let's wait on that. And, he was smart about that. One other move today that involved the college player, or soon-to-be college player, was Greg Brown, the big man from Texas, who decided to stay at home and go to college at Texas for Shaka Smart and not go to that G League elite team. Did that surprise you at all?
A little bit, but I also know from talking with people how close of a relationship he has with the Texas program and how sentimental that is for him to play for Shaka. And that's the thing, like these kids that are going to the G League select team, you lose out on that opportunity. And sure, you're going to make a lot of money right off the bat. You're not an NBA player right off the bat, but you're going to make a lot of money to start. But looking later on in life and kind of reflecting back, you lose out on an opportunity to go play in front of packed stadium in a college setting, being on ESPN every Saturday, every Wednesday night, Super Tuesday, whatever the case may be, these power conferences. And there's just so much more that you lose out on and you miss out on in terms of life experiences and memories as a college student playing basketball. And now you've got Greg Brown going to put himself in a position to be one of the best players in college basketball next year. He is going to be like a god down in Austin next season when they play. And otherwise, sure, go and chase the money and go to this G League team and play in front of 200 fans. Maybe that number triples on kids' days when all the kids who are supposed to be in school take a field trip to these G League games, which I've been at, and that's no fun. And just the overall atmosphere and experience is something that you can never, in my opinion, replicate. And for a player who is as talented as Greg, God forbid, notwithstanding any injuries, the NBA is going to be there for him. So I think he made a great decision. It just, as a college basketball fan, it gets you that much more excited, and there will be that much more parity among top prospects now entering college basketball when you see these players commit to these programs like that.
The last thing for Andy Schiffman, the NCAA committee that's studying name, image, and likeness is going to reveal their plans apparently soon.
Next week, yep.
Yeah. What do you think that's going to look like? They say you can corporations can pay you to endorse them, car dealers, restaurants. In the long run, what do you think? If let's just say Jalen Green, because we know he's not coming here. Let's just say they'd allow that, or we could even say Greg Brown in Austin. What do you think a kid's going to end up making if he's a real star like that? Now that he can sell his name, image, and likeness.
Well, I think he stands to make a lot of money, Dave. Right? Because if major companies can get in at the grassroots level with some of these kids who they believe are going to be big-time superstars at the next level, as opposed to having to wait until they leave college and then negotiate with an agent and go through all that process as they enter the draft. If they can get their hands on these kids early on, I absolutely think they'll be willing to pay a premium for that access and for that partnership, knowing how it could pay off tenfold down the line. The only thing is, I would imagine many college players, and let's just talk about basketball since that's the topic, are hearing this news and very optimistic and excited. The reality is, and practically, and you both know as well as I do, this is going to affect maybe 5% of the college basketball population. If you've got a team like Memphis, like, for example, this year, you might have 12, 14 guys on that roster, but more than likely, the only two that would have had any opportunities to make any extra income would be Precious and James. And when James left the program, it would have been all Precious. So realistically, I think there'll be a lot of resources and opportunities provided to a lot of these students. I just think the students are going to be few and far between when you talk about the elite level prospects that companies and sponsorship opportunities want to align with and partner with. So it's exciting. I think it will definitely somewhat bridge the gap in terms of the entire professional/amateur dynamic that's been ongoing for years. Pay for play, pay for the name, image, likeness. But I still think you're going to have the majority of student athletes left with nothing, and they will probably sit there and say, well, why is that fair? But the flip side of it is, I hate to say it this way, like, look, if you were better, you would have these opportunities. You chose to come to this school and be the 8th or 9th guy, and that's your decision, so you have to realize what's at stake. And at the end of the day in all this, guess what? You're getting a free education.
Interesting stuff. Food for thought. We'll know next week. Andy Schiffman, thank you. Stay healthy.
Thank you, Andy.
Enjoy your
too.
Time with your family in Memphis, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
That is our agent in Memphis. That is Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by the Spirit Shop. Spirit Shop is going to be busy tonight. It's Friday night. Oh, weekend's almost here. People ready to at least quarantine with family with spirits. And the place to get those spirits is the Spirit Shop there at Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact. It's right down from Clark Towers, that little log cabin you've passed forever. It's stocked inside with all the goodies that you want. That could be premium bourbon or tequila or gin or vodka, or it could be middle of the road. It could be the great California wines. It could be the great French wines. It could be the middle of the road wines. It could be the up-and-comer that's going to be incredible. And Eddie Connor will tell you, get this wine because it's cheap right now. Buy a case because it's only going to go up in value. He's got all the accessories. He's got beer. He's got everything you need to make sure your social distancing this weekend is a little bit nicer. Call
Dave,
in advance.
I'm going to declare something.
Yeah?
The pandemic will be over when we're able to do a remote at the Spirit Shop.
Well, there is no social distancing inside there.
That's how I'll know it's over.
You are correct. I totally
can't wait.
I totally agree. I can't wait either. In the meantime, they'll bring it out to you right now, curbside. Call them in advance. Give your credit card over the phone. It's just easier. Then they come out and they'll put it in your trunk or your back seat, whatever you want. They do it your way, and your spirits will rise. if you head to Poplar and St. Nick and say hello to Eddie Connor and his family at the Spirit Shop. Let's take a break. When we come back, time for some high hard ones on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hurt. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Golfers, our tee times, fairways, and greens are on the horizon. Until then, your friends at Edwin Watts Golf Shops encourage you to stay safe, practice social distancing, and wash your hands. Our plan is to reopen based off state and federal guidelines. During the interruption, our online store remains open at worldwidegolfshops.com. Thank you for your patience and understanding, and most of all, for being a part of our amazing golf community. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we look forward to serving you soon.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include Shelby Forest General Store, Let It Fly, Moon Dance Grill, Great Wines, Germantown Wines and Liquors, Corks Wines and Liquors. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you. Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, 5 Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final portion of our week. I shouldn't say. We still have one more little quickie, but this is the one I'm always looking forward to. We call it High Hard Ones, where we ask ourselves what we hope will be thought-provoking questions, and hopefully somebody will provide a thought-provoking and smart answer. How about that? I know you're ready. Are you ready?
I'm going to try. Drew, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I'll start. If the Louisville medical treatment... Oh, I'm sorry. What is this?
Music bed for high hour ones.
Okay. Might put it down just a touch.
Dave's new to the show.
Sorry.
If the
It
Louisville...
does always run a little hot. I said the same thing last time. It runs a little loud. Thank you, Drew.
If the Louisville medical treatment turns out, we don't have that much about it, but they're saying that they have treatment that this will fight off the coronavirus cells. If you were offered a chance to be a volunteer to test it, would you do it?
Yes, in a second. And it's easy for me because I don't have any children. I don't have any grandchildren. Got plenty of people that care about me. I know that. But also, I promise you, I would go to NIH as a guinea pig on some other health-related matters. For me, nothing that major. Don't want to go quite into it all. But I would love to do that. I would love, because if they could find out maybe something genetically, DNA, that would help my nephew's children and 20, 30, 40 years of their children, I'd love to do that. It's easy for me. I'd go in a second.
Drew?
I say yes as well, basically for all the same reasons that Brett just said, but being at a much younger age, even if the treatment didn't work, if it didn't work, I've got a better chance of defending off the virus on my own than somebody in a different age category. So it would be almost selfish for me to pass up to allow the 68, 67-year-old to be the guinea pig. Let's have us young, healthy people be the guinea pigs.
I'm assuming that it couldn't hurt me by trying. Might not work, but it can't hurt. So, yeah, I would probably do that. All right, who's next?
And I think most people would. Let me take a swing at this. I've said he's coming in at the best time ever, but with this pandemic and with the questions around college football, is Ryan Silverfield coming in with the most pressure on him of any first-year Tiger head coach? The pressure to have people in the stands and the pressure to win ball games.
Well, I don't think he's going to have the pressure of people in the stands because there's a good chance that the pandemic will be the excuse if they're even allowed. So, no, I don't think that will be the case. I think the audiences will be really good on television and radio. If no matter what happens, even if they open up the games for people, and let's just say they go, you know what, we're only going to sell 20,000 tickets. That way we can social distance. Then, there's going to be a lot of people watching, but it's going to be weird. And I think this first season without a spring and everything else, I think it's a pass. I think he's got less pressure because of the pandemic than he would have if he had it.
Drew?
I'm going to say no, just based on the fact of how I think most people expect it to kind of run its course, not to kind of keep everything going, but to have the ups and flows of what Fuente had and then Mike Norvell had. Norvell didn't come in here his first year even coming off of a 10-plus win season that Fuente had. He came in, had a 8-win season, I believe, and was able to rebuild. So as long as Ryan Silverfield doesn't drop us down to a 6-7 win program, I think that the pressure is just to stay about at that 8-9 range.
That is funny, though, because I can remember 6 or 7 wins we lost.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
Taking a second.
6 years ago.
See, I think it is the most pressure for this reason because I think all the firsties, for whatever reason. Now, his was coach leaving over mega success. But Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Missouri, that first-year guy for those places, you really picked a time for a coaching change and to be a first-year head coach. I just wonder, deep in the heart of Ole Miss administration and Mississippi State administration and Missouri, Arkansas excluded because 4-20 speaks for itself, if they had it to do all over again, might have been a good time not to make a change. With Barry Odom,
yeah,
and Moorhead and Matt.
I guess it's me. Oh, you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Drew.
my turn.
I'm sorry, Drew.
All right, fill in the blank. With the first pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select James Wiseman, center from blank.
Memphis.
The university or just Memphis?
University of Memphis. Yes.
Well, he could pull like a Derrick Rose. He could go from Nashville. Because honestly, he lived here 2 years
and not claim us.
And well,
yeah, but Derrick Rose went back to Chicago as a member of the Bulls. He was from Chicago, and I think they introduced him from Simeon High. Well, Golden State, from East High School in Memphis, but he's from Nashville, and they had the moving cost to Memphis. No,
how about this? We'll get an inkling if there indeed is a draft that is in New York City at the Barclays. If Penny Hardaway is at the table, then he'll say he's from Memphis. If Penny Hardaway is not at the table, he will say, I don't know if he say East High School, but most likely he'll say Nashville because that's where he spent most of his life.
Dave?
Okay, along those lines, I was going to ask something else, but along those lines, James Wiseman's decision to quit. There was just a piece that was out there that questioned his stock because of that decision to quit. Do you think leaving the University of Memphis the way that he did hurt James Wiseman's draft stock?
No, I don't think it did at all. Spot or two, but not precipitous. No.
I'm going to say no, just due to the fact that NBA teams, they knew what James Wiseman was going to be before he even signed with Memphis. They had plenty of tape on him in the AAU and at high school at East. And if a guy like Ball can go all the way over to New Zealand and Australia and play there and not even really perform and his draft stock doesn't fall, then Wiseman only playing 3 games at Memphis. And I think the NBA understands the circumstances and the situation around it. So I say no.
I say it should be no, because I really don't believe that he was in control of that decision. I think that was a parental decision. Drew?
All right, I mentioned. It's my turn.
I'm sorry.
I mentioned him earlier, Drew and Dave, and I'm going to bring it up again. Will Urban Meyer win a 4th national championship? And here are some likely suspects: USC, Notre Dame, Texas, or Auburn. If he got a job at one of those 4 places, would he win a 4th national championship at a 3rd different school?
I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say he gets too burned out too easily. Becomes his own worst enemy on occasion. He's getting older. If it was Auburn, he would have Alabama in his league. That makes it tough. If it was USC, he's got to build, which he can do, but there's other teams in that league with good coaches. I just say it's too long a shot, and he doesn't even have a position yet, so I'm going to say no, he does not get a 4th.
I'm going to say no/yes.
What?
I know. Well, we're not playing heck yes, hell no. I can go in the middle here. I'm going to say no if
makes his own rules up as he goes.
There no /yes.
Shane, that's a double standard right there.
This would go down in history.
Yes.
I'm going to say no if if he goes to USC, Notre Dame, or Texas, because I think it's incredibly hard to win a national championship at those programs now, and that's hard to say with how much history is. But I'm going to say yes if he coaches at Auburn, because if you get to the playoff running through the SEC, you've already got 2 legs up above the competition, so you're more likely to win a national championship out of Auburn and out of the SEC. So I'll go
Texas,
3 no's and 1 yes.
Wow. Texas last night didn't have a first-round draft pick. They haven't had one since 2015.
And Auburn, in my mind, Alabama and LSU were already ahead of them in their own division. Very tough to me.
11 out of those 15 picks from the SEC last night were from the West.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if the West were a league.
Yeah.
Drew?
All right. With Precious' announcement for the draft today, it looks to be set up to be the first lottery pick for Penny Hardaway. Will Penny Hardaway finish with more lottery picks at Memphis than Cal did? And just so you know, Cal finished with 3.
Absolutely. I'm going
to say no because of the times. They are changing. As I said last week, Penny Hardaway, the job he has today, much different than just 2 years ago. It changed on him. He really signed up for something he's not getting, and now, as we've talked about, he's going to have to get more player developmental type assistant coaches and players you coach up and you have to be patient with instead of kind of just flooding the zone. I'm going to say no.
I think that's a very fair assessment, but here's what I would say. I would say that if you get 2 this year, you only need 1 more to tie Cal.
Whoa.
And
does James count? Do we count James Wiseman?
Where'd he go to college?
Oh yeah, he counts.
He count James as 2. Okay.
Yeah. So if you got
that was
2,
without me counting him.
If you've got 2, and not only now, when they put in the name, image, and likeness, you can literally pay people to come. You will be making a salary. There are going to be some that are not going to like that G League setup. And I'm going to ask you a question in a minute that'll, I think, help make my point. And so, therefore, all he's going to need is 2 more over the span of his coaching career, which could go a long way. I think the math is on my side. I think he will surpass John Calipari.
You make a good case.
Drew?
That was my question.
Well, you get to answer your own question.
Oh, okay. I'll say yes. I just think that the longevity of the career.
Is that yes/yes or is that yes/no?
That'll be a yes/yes.
Oh, okay, good.
I think he'll get the 4.
Oh, okay.
Dave,
right.
Drew, buddy, I'm sorry. That's
No
gonna be
worries,
with you
no
for
worries.
a long time.
But did you notice
a no/yes, Drew? Come on.
But
now.
did you notice how I just laughed? I didn't gang up on you. Did you? I just want you to.
I
note
noticed
of
that, Dave. I'm going to be on your side more now.
I like that. All right,
Dave, remember, we're here for you.
I hear you. All right, so we saw today Greg Brown turn down the G League. We saw Jalen Green take $500,000 starting. Who knows what he gets from a shoe company to go to this G League Elite. Middle of next year, who's got more hype around their name? Greg Brown or Jalen Green?
I'm going to say Green/Brown.
No, you can't say that.
I'll answer. It's easy. It's Greg Brown.
It's Greg Brown, and I don't say that with any enmity at Jalen Green. None, I promise you. None. I hope it works very well for him, but I just think, as we all know, for a young guy around sports, it can be a lonely life, and playing for the Reno, what's their name, Bighorns? Well, I don't even know. I mean,
I know there's the Sioux City Skyhawks or something like that in the G League.
And driving down I-55 to play the hustle. That's not being on Big Monday when it's a college basketball rule that Kansas plays every Monday at home, and Texas is playing them.
No, the bottom line is this guy's going to play 11 times. He's going to be playing G League teams. On national TV on ESPN, Texas is going to play, like you just said, every Monday night. Kansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma. Lord knows.
May go to Maui. May go to Madison Square Garden.
Exactly. And people will see what he does. He will get the hype. And, that will
Saturday
be good
morning,
for college basketball.
A Saturday morning, Big 12, 11 o'clock in the morning in Waco, Baylor in Texas, is bigger than anything Jalen Green will do next year.
No question.
It'll be hard not to watch Greg Brown. It'll be very easy for me to pull a Brett XFL and not watch 1 second of Jalen Green.
Now, that was a shot. That was a shot.
Well, I had to go back at you.
No/yes.
I had to go back at you.
Dave, you created this.
That was a non/slash shot. No slash to it.
Whose question is it? I'm confused.
It's your turn.
All right. Tell me the first round quarterback head coach combo that'll win a Super Bowl together. A, Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow. B, Brian Flores, Tua. C, Anthony Lynn, Justin Herbert. Or D, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love.
Ooh. Not going to be that.
No.
I'm going to go. Oh, boy. I'm going to go Tua.
I'm Tua.
I'm going to go Tua.
I think he's already the best quarterback in the AFC East.
I'm going to
over Josh Allen, Jarrett Stidham, and Sam Darnold. Drew?
Ultimately, because you said coach and quarterback duo, I think Tua probably has the better opportunity as far as quarterback goes. But I think Matt LaFleur is the best coach out of all 4 of those. So I have to go with him and Jordan Love. Just because I think the coach will be around long enough for Jordan Love to develop.
Jordan Love isn't ever going to play.
He's not
Come
win
on.
a Super Bowl.
I'm sure there were plenty of
won't win a
people saying that
division.
about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, he'll never play. They'll stick with Brett Favre till he's 55.
First of all,
when he fits.
you forget the division they're in.
Yeah, pretty easy. I got to get through those.
Monsters of the Midway going to knock him around. He's never going to
The
play.
Lions, that division slop.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. We got time. One more. I think it's Drew's
Quick.
turn.
Whoever. I'm confused.
Okay, I will do just a quick yes or no. Due to cuts we've seen due to COVID-19, will a Division I university drop football, men's or women's basketball, baseball, or softball this year?
Oh, we've already seen soccer,
Yes.
so the odds are yes, we will see somebody
Yes. Yeah.
drop something. No doubt. Unfortunately,
we will see a Power 5 not have football opening day 2022 out of COVID-19.
Power 5
in 2020.
Yes. If you told me group of 5, I will buy that.
Power 5.
Is this going to be a steak? How many steak dinners do you owe me now?
I don't think any, Dave. I think I'm ahead of you, in fact.
No, that can't be.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember all the bets.
Well, see, I do, so you're behind.
That's my problem, is my memory. I win and forget. I'll make you a steak dinner bet on that. Power 5 is not going to lose. There's television setups will not allow that to happen. But I could see a group of 5 going for sure.
Rutgers
is not going anywhere. It's got the state of New York behind it, for goodness sake.
Okay.
Steak bet? Have we got
Hamburger.
one? Huh?
Hamburger.
Oh, hamburger. Okay. We'll do a hamburger on that one. From Hamburger Friday. I like that. I like that. Let us take a break. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. You know where they are, right there at Kraft Road, Highway 78, so close. First exit, Mississippi, turn left, and you'll see what is the standard for car business. I think Chris True has it going. He was the first guy that came up with 0% financing for 84 months on Hyundais and on the Genesis car, that luxury car that is so good. Those cars are all so darn good. You get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car on the lot. And to entice you, and I haven't seen anybody else do this, you don't make the first payment on that car for 3 months, 120 days before you make your first payment on select models, and 0% financing for 84 months. You got to go see it to believe it. You'll love all those folks who will take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in a minute with Crunch Time on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We baste our ribs on a plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So Robert, are ribs what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis in the alley since 1948.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health, especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station, because we're in this fight with you, and we're going to help you stay connected.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, ah, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Geraldo, it is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Learned today that if we have the delayed college football season, many are fearing, I don't think, and if the NFL doesn't play this fall, I'm not sure Roger Goodell and the NFL will move that draft back any. They don't care about college football. They shouldn't, and they don't. Wonder when the last time, I don't know, but I wonder when the last time Roger Goodell went to a college football game. Why would he? It's been the best AAA minor league ever, and they've never had to pay for a dime of it.
I don't know if when the last time he's been to a game. That's a good question. He's usually on his way to some NFL city.
He's busy,
yeah.
But there's no reason for him to have any love for college football.
No. I learned today that Dana White absolutely wants to be the first sport back. He announced today UFC will return May 9th in Florida with a big package and no fans. It'll be the first of 3 UFC fight cards that, of course, will be on ESPN. And ESPN is on this roll. I think they want to keep it going between the Last Dance series, which picks up episodes 3 and 4 on Sunday, and what happened last night with that draft, and, of course, tonight with the draft. And, I mean, they're on a roll.
They are on a roll, and we're going to talk about The Last Dance on Monday when Joe Klein joins us. He was on that Bulls team, and he'll join us, a lifer in the NBA. He'll join us on Monday and talk about it. Could have done without more stuff from the Big Ten, now Michigan. We had trouble at Michigan State, Ohio State, Indiana, and, of course, the big one at Penn State. I don't need to be lectured to by Big Ten guy about cheating in the SEC. At least in the SEC, it's cars and cash and not this stuff.
I could have done without the tweet that Dennis Dodd sent out today about Learfield IMG College. Learfield is delaying by 60 to 90 days the rights fees that they have guaranteed to the schools with which they are partners. I've done a lot of work with them, and they've never missed a paycheck with me, and I appreciate that for sure. But it would be troubling, and they're saying it's just 60 to 90 days, but this is college sports now. Learfield IMG College has taken over. They own all the advertising rights to just about, it's not 100%, but it's 95% of all the colleges now. And for them to be behind just tells you where we are at.
Keeping a close eye this weekend on a lot of breaking stories near and far. Rounds 2 through 7 tonight and tomorrow afternoon and day for the NFL. Last night, it didn't do a lot for me. It was a little slow. Roger Goodell could make a hypnotist sleepy. It was too many film packages for me, but it went off pretty flawlessly, and we needed it. And I'll be watching, see where Antonio Gibson's taken, and if other Tigers are drafted, just see how the rest of this draft plays out and see what Bill Belichick does.
I'm heading home to watch it. I am looking forward to see if Gibson goes or Austin Hall goes or Bryce Huff or Patrick Taylor. There's a lot of opportunities there for Memphis guys, and we know the SEC will again, they will dominate this second round as well. So many great players. We thank Brian Fenley, Alan Bell, Pat Smith, Andy Schiffman. We will let you know the public golf courses around the city are open tomorrow. You got to walk. Just please, everybody, stay healthy, stay social distance, and we shall talk with you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whpq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought